only been 19 home run games. A dude did it in 2017, and a guy did it this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's only 8 years apart.
And I think the unassisted triple play is the even rarer than the 4 home run game.
What's that? You have to get a ground ball to third base, step on it, run to second, and then run to first base?
Or something like that, sure.
Otherwise, someone else has got to get in the mix.
Get in the mix. Got to have it.
Got to have it. Jerry,
there have been 14 natural cycles in the history of baseball. The latest, Gary Matthews Jr.
Indy, with the Pacer lead cut 3-2.
Who else? Kevin Harlan on TNT. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Did the Knicks find something last night, Pearl? I go to you.
You know, this is very emotionally complicated because I want to like the Knicks.
Yeah, be gentle with them. They're excited today, EJ Manning.
But my family is really into it. Everyone in my neighborhood is getting into the Knicks. But then I come in and I see Manny smiling from ear to ear and doing a little dance over there, and I can't get it. Now I have to root against them again. I'm being emotionally torn one way or the other. There's nothing about this team that's unlikable. But yes, they are in it because the amount of pressure on Game 6 for Indiana is huge. Because you don't get the feeling, as Charles Barkley and Shaq said after the game, they do not want to go back to Madison Square Garden for Game 7. So there's going to be way more pressure on Indiana at home in Game 6.
Yeah, this snapped a 6-game road winning streak for the Indiana Pacers. They had been awesome on the road, and so you're going to make me be the bad guy. All right. I mean, if the shoe fits, I'll do it. This was just a stave off of execution. I'm sorry, guys.
Did you hear that, guys?
I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of not. It's a stave of execution, of execution. This is the thing. Brunson, amazing last night in quarters 1 and 3. Cat, awesome in quarter number 2. Guys were kind of taking turns a little bit more, Pearl, which I think is out of here. Maybe a little bit smarter. Cat hasn't been consistent enough, and that's the problem. In these playoffs, you had an awesome Cat game in Game 3 where he basically saved the season. That was awesome. And he was really good last night when Brunson was, I believe, scoreless in the second quarter after an awesome first quarter, and Cat kept everything going. Knicks never trailed in this game, by the way. It was a blowout. Rick Carlisle for the Pacers waved the white flag with about 2.5 minutes left to go. They won by 17, the Knicks did. The defense was much better. I just don't know if I'm getting another good Cat game. And I think he's such a key to what the Knicks need to do. Like, we know Brunson, right? And at times Brunson, they've been better with him on the bench at times because of the defensive liabilities. And same thing with Cat. I don't know if you're getting the consistency. So I'm sorry to be the that guy, that gal.
I actually totally disagree with that. I mean, Cat he knows he has Miles Turner now. If he gets a 1-on-1, that's 2 points. It's done. So the most important thing too is not any individual player. It's pace. The Knicks last night figured out how to slow down Indiana with their defense. If they can slow down the game and get it, they're a better half-court team than Indiana. So I think it's all about how fast is the game going to go. Will the Knicks succumb? Like, the Pacers are daring them, shoot a bunch of threes and miss a bunch of threes, which, the Knicks have not really shot well from 3. So I think it's pace. If the Knicks can slow down the game in Game 6, then they're fine. Because Cat, I do not agree with you that Cat and Brunson are not going to toast these Pacers. No. Like, I don't see a bad game coming. I think they have a huge offensive edge in their one-on-one matchups.
But defensively, they're a liability. Yeah. And I just have heard so much complaining about Karl Anthony Towns from the Knicks fan base. And if they lose this series, everyone's dying to blame this guy. Dying to. EJ, you're looking at me funny. They are.
I don't agree with that.
Oh, come on. I mean, there's a reason why you're even talking about could he be traded for Giannis.
Because he can't play defense.
No one's saying that about Brunson, and Brunson doesn't play defense.
Well, it's the fit. And Brunson is not the homegrown star, but, I mean, he's the guy that kind of he began this. He's the captain. But, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson just became the first teammates since Shaq and Kobe to score 20 points in each of the first 5 games of a conference finals. I mean, they're putting up historic numbers in the series.
Right, but they have not been if I have to hear one more complaint about Cat's stupid fouls and about the non-winning plays. And that's kind of been that's been the Achilles heel of this of Karl Anthony Towns. He's number 1 overall pick. He had all the talent in the world. He can shoot threes. He calls himself the best 3-point shooting big man of all time. He might not be wrong about that, but I think there is But
don't you think Cat's playing better than you expected in this playoffs? I kind of. I remember last year, I'm thinking of him in Minnesota, like he would disappear for long stretches. I feel like he's been pretty consistent. As EJ noted, the numbers have been there.
The numbers have been there, but I would say they're coming sometimes in different types of spurts that you needed to. Like he had a good third quarter. What was it in game 4, even though the Knicks lost that game? But we know who it is in crunch time, right? It's got to be Brunson in crunch time. Everybody knows that. And I don't think you're getting that same defensive effort. Like last night, fantastic, right? You hold the Pacers to 45 first half points when you allowed them to score 43 points in the first quarter alone in game 4. So obviously the commitment to defense was there. It's always going to be the liability with Towns. It will. And you know it. We all know it. And you talked about pace. I don't know if the defensive effort is going to be stout enough when Indiana goes back to their home floor. We'll see.
I mean, let's flip the script, though. Sure. Can Halliburton put this game behind him, or did the Knicks solve something with Halliburton? Because I thought I noticed that they were treating Halliburton like the Thunder treated Anthony Edwards. Like they were just like, we are going to let somebody else beat us. Because let's face it, the Pacers do not have a wildly talented starting five. You know, as EJ knows, I'm not a big Nembhard fan. Nesmith, like these are kind of role players. These are Bs at best.
But they're kind of like stepping up to the moment. Last night. Last night, everyone was basically, was not good for Indiana.
But you got to let someone besides Halliburton beat you, because Halliburton will not only will kill you with scoring, but then he'll rip you apart with his court vision. And no, there's Siakam and Halliburton as far as shot creation goes. I mean, honestly, Nesmith is great because of his defense on Brunson, but and that one flurry of 3-point games. But generally, I think you can look at that team and say, let's let someone besides Halliburton beat us. I think that would be I think that's something they unlocked a little bit last night. Take it out of his hands if you can.
Although there is like moments when all of a sudden Nesmith, what they say last night, turned into Ray Allen, and that was, that was a game 1 situation. I guess the other thing that we have to really acknowledge what was different last night was Mikal Bridges, another guy who's taken some slings and arrows from the Knicks fans because they traded 5 first-round picks to get him. And he at times has been phenomenal in these playoffs. Last night, defense against Halliburton, A+. I mean, stellar. Halliburton was totally out of it. I just didn't think that last night showed you anything more like any of these fatal flaws about the Pacers. They did get blown out. It was a terrible game. I think they felt like they clearly didn't bring the intensity. They're not the ones who are facing elimination. They're on the road. The crowd's at a fever pitch. I was texting my friend who was there last night. He said it was just absolutely insane, 10 out of 10. And I think they had this natural sort of foot off the gas thing.
But, okay.
And credit to the Knicks defense. And credit to the defense.
But it doesn't, to me, it feels like a 3-1 series where the series is still alive. Maybe because EJ did say that on the record after they fell down to 3-1. Actually, it was 2-1. He said, if we lose this game, I don't think the series is over.
Well, this that's because the margins have been razor thin. All these games, except for last night, have been really tight.
It just feels like this is a 3-1 series that feels up for grabs. Sometimes a 3-1 series does not feel up for grabs. We all know that. I'm thinking last year's finals, for example, there was no doubt the Celtics were going to beat the Mavs. That was it doesn't feel like it never felt like a gentleman's sweep kind of series. Because you're right, the games are so close. I think this is getting really, really interesting. Because I also don't think the Pacers are that good. I mean, they're just, I don't think either team is that great. We're looking at the elite teams. Nobody thought this was going to be I keep coming back to, everyone's like, the Pacers or Knicks are here. This is a shocking matchup. It was supposed to be the Cavs and the Celtics, who have all the all-stars. These guys are playing a little bit above their head. So I'm not surprised. Like, Miles Turner looked awful last night. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the Miles Turner experience. Like, he's not that great a player. So I think the series is up for grabs. Also, every loose ball went to the Knicks last night. There was no. I'm like, are the Pacers exhausted, or are they just saving that energy for Game 6? I think that's what you're implying.
Well, and here's another reason that kind of tipped me off. That obviously, listen, the Knicks jumped all over them from the moment. Like, this was as little, Knicks fans have been pulling out their hair. It's been intense. Manny's been laughing, crying, every emotion you've gone through. Literally the crying. Literally crying. But this one, to me,
screaming, crying, and throwing up.
That's the Manny Rodriguez experience.
Name of my autobiography.
This has been a series in some ways, and the Pacers run and even the Knicks run has been defined by comebacks. Comebacks late in the fourth quarter. and they waved the white flag, the Pacers did, with 2.5 minutes left to go, which kind of felt like eternity for some of these games. And they were like, you know what? Nah. And that, to me, sort of tipped me off on their approach almost to this whole game. It was like they just didn't match the Knicks at all in intensity. There was a moment when they made a nice run. I think it was a 9-1 run, and Jalen Brunson ended up hitting a big three, getting fouled, the 4-point play. I think I got the right sequence here. And it felt huge, and it was in the middle of the third quarter.
I have a question for you, Maggie. Yeah. Are the Pacers, to Perloff's point, are they a good enough team to just be taking their foot off the gas? I do not think so. I think that's a real question to ask because they're saying, all right, we're going to put our eggs in our Game 6 basket. Well, Game 3, the Pacers were trying to get the knockout punch, and they were off 20 points, and the Knicks came back.
Right.
And we've seen the Knicks against the Celtics come back from 20 points down. If the Pacers were taking last night off, that seems very silly to me because you only got one more home game left. And the Knicks have shown that they can win Indiana. Can't say the words. And they've shown that they can have great resilience with their backs against the wall. So
Pacers have shown the same thing, that they're really good on the road too.
Right, but this isn't about resilience, though, taking your foot off the gas. This is about saying that we got it in the bag, which is kind of what happened in Game 1 with the Knicks. So, I mean, if this was, the Oklahoma City Thunder where they played against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, lost by 42 or whatever.
Yeah, I think that was a game where you say, you know what, we're cool. Similar to what Perloff was saying, where a gentleman's sweep was still happening. I don't think the Pacers are that kind of team where they could say, whether they did or not, you know what, we got them coming at home, we'll be fine. They're talking like they do, but I don't think they have more talent than the Knicks.
Well, that's fine. I'll counter with this question. Yeah. Do you think that this really put a scare into the Pacers last night?
I do.
I don't think so.
No,
well, I mean,
that's
here's the thing. Like, but you got to.
I don't think they're going home like, oh my gosh.
But don't forget the Aaron Nesmith health situation. Like, he's the only guy who can even come close to guarding Jalen Brunson. The numbers are they're staggering how much better he is than everyone else. And I think they're worried that he's wearing down because of his injury.
It's funny to me, the injuries in this series. Like, good luck figuring out who's actually hurt, because Karl Anthony Towns has I thought a really bad knee injury, and he was all over the place last night. Same thing. Nesmith had the ankle, and then he came back in that same game and looked amazing. Or looked
He
fine.
Came back the next game, right?
No, he came back into the game that night.
That game too.
And then, so I can't figure out what the injuries.
Yeah, I mean,
how much they're impacting, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, how many minutes did Nesmith get on Brunson last night? It felt like
he started the game on him, and Brunson was flying him in the first quarter.
So the first quarter for Brunson was a masterpiece.
But once
and the third quarter,
once Nesmith's out, forget it. I mean, then it's trouble town for the Pacers. I mean, this is you said it, this is such a razor thin, evenly matched up two teams. I can't even distinguish the two. So that's why I think it's very much alive.
Poll question. Did the Knicks find something last night? Yes, no. 888-710-4ISN.
That's actually a massive W.
888-710-4476. So you guys are confident.
I think
you're excited.
I think you look at this and say you have one really tough game on the road to win that you're capable of winning, and you hope you win it. Pacers are a good team. They've shown they can beat the Knicks. They're not afraid of the Knicks for sure. But I do think the Knicks showed themselves the defensive effort it's going to take to beat this team.
Sure.
Whether or not they can replicate that is really up to them.
Yeah, Bridges.
But they just simply weren't given that kind of effort. I mean, you want to talk about effort. I mean, Landry Shamet, who's been great defensively the whole series, but I mean, he comes in and he's just erasing people. I mean, that's just not
Sixers legend.
That's just not.
They were chanting Landry Shamet last night,
and he deserved it. DeLon Wright all over the place. Like, those guys all series have kind of set the tone, and for the first time, the rest of the players seem to follow suit. Now, you got to bring that effort on the road, and on the road is an entirely different beast. But again, the Knicks have shown that backs against the wall, they can rise to these moments. So Pacers, you better be ready for this Game 6. It's not going to be a cakewalk.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, man, this is a total 180 from looking like Kenny from South Park a couple days ago. I don't know.
Now you look like Kyle. I think the key is watch the Pacers. They're going to shoot earlier in the 24-second clock. They're going to try and rev up Game 6 and get the Knicks into a track meet and get that pace up. This is the first time they didn't score 100 in the entire postseason. Like, Rick Carlisle he's such a good coach. That to me is the biggest X factor. I give Carlisle an edge over Tom Thibodeau. By the way, can we get back to yesterday's conversation? Does this win save Thibodeau in your mind? Is it because I can't believe the Knicks are reportedly, or according to the fans at least, going to fire this guy? He did a great job last night. This is the coach you're going to fire, Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks?
I'll tell you what. I was at the dinner table last night with my husband and my son, and there was a bit of a lull in the conversation. I just turned to my husband and go, "Do you know Thibodeau's 68?" I just couldn't believe it.
67.
67. He's
Yeah.
going to be 68 if he coaches
He's going to be
next year.
68. It's in January. That is like that annoyed me so much yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be 68. He's almost at his half
Next
birthday.
season-
That was
next
actually
If
said
they
on this
bring
show.
him back,
Right, you
he'll
said
be
next
68.
season if he's
Yes,
coaching.
you
he'll
know
be
what?
68.
If they bring him back the next year, he's going to be 69. Now we're talking about a 69-year-old head coach.
I'm just saying, I was like, I was amazed by that. One other thing I'll say that the Knicks do have going for them. This has nothing to do with basketball. There's a little like inter-fighting between the Indianapolis celebrities.
Oh,
They are
God.
not all on the same page.
I've been told.
I have
to
a
say.
huge issue with this.
Uh-oh.
Well, let's save it because this is like, it's like the drama. I'm like, of all, you would think you put New York and Indianapolis and wonder which celebrities would be infighting with each other. I'd take New York 100 times out of 100. Like, this is where people have some sharp elbows, and the celebrities are the worst of them. I did not see the Indiana celebrities are the ones who are at each other's throats.
What?
We'll tell you what's going on with that next. Also, Brian Schottenheimer, we've got Dallas Cowboys stuff for you from OTAs. The really surprising way he described Dak Prescott is making waves across the NFL. And to be honest, it sounded weird. It's like, dude, those mics are on. You're the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Everything you say is going to be broadcast out to the world and beamed to every time zone. You can't talk about Dak Prescott like that. I'll tell you what he said next. MVP.
Here we go.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. A lot of controversy in this Knicks Pacers series. I got to tell you, I had a small thing that annoyed me so much. You teased it. There's a celebrity feud infighting amongst the Pacers faithful. John Cougar Mellencamp versus Pat McAfee. But I'm on Team McAfee, and I'll tell you why. Because John Cougar Mellencamp did this by putting out an Instagram post. A statement, right, on IG, right?
Yeah.
It's white text over a semi-white photo. I could not understand a word of what John Cougar Mellencamp. I thought I could only catch every third word, so I thought he was supporting Pat McAfee because I couldn't read it. Like, dude, you're John Cougar Mellencamp. You have to have an elite social media team. Right. So I immediately sided with McAfee because I couldn't read what our former Pink House's guy was saying.
My dog.
I couldn't believe if you were going to say which celebrities are going at each other where the series now continues. We're going to get a game 6 in Indiana on Saturday night. I'm curious, is there going to be tension between John Mellencamp and Pat McAfee? Because it is a statement that John Mellencamp, who I guess is the Pied Piper of Indianapolis celebrities.
I guess.
I mean, he's earned it, right?
Oh, definitely.
McAfee's new on the scene. Mellencamp's been around since like the 80s, 70s? I don't even know. Hoosier hospitality, air quotes. I was embarrassed when somebody, under whose direction I don't know, called out some of the people who had made the trip from New York to support their team and in turn support our team. The audience booed these people. I'd say that was not Hoosier hospitality. One could only say it's poor sportsmanship. I was not proud to be a Hoosier, and I've lived here my entire life. On behalf of most Hoosiers, I would like to apologize for our poor behavior. I'm sure the Pacers had nothing to do with this smackdown. John Mellencamp.
See, okay, so I can only read. I'm sure the Pacers. I read that. Okay, I read it yesterday afternoon, and it said, "I'm sure the Pacers had nothing to do with the SmackDown." I thought he was actually trolling the Knicks fan, like saying, and the SmackDown being that they whooped him on the court. Was that what he was referring to, or was he talking about the SmackDown of the booing the celebrities?
I don't know, but when he said SmackDown, that made me wonder if it was a bit.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. That's what I'm saying. He was trolling them.
Is the announcer for SmackDown, is he not?
Are we positive that...
Or Raw? SmackDown or Raw? SmackDown. So
are we positive that Mellencamp isn't on Team McAfee and was like kind of being sarcastic? I don't know. But
is Triple H like choreographing this entire thing?
He was there.
Who's writing the script?
Oh, I know. Triple H has been all over this thing. What is that? That's McAfee. Okay.
He's McAfee, and also Halliburton has been a part of WE and Brunson even a little bit. So
he's from Montreal, though, right? He has no Indiana connection.
Connecticut, I think.
Oh, Triple H?
Yeah.
Montreal. I thought his characters from Montreal. Like, why do I think he's from Montreal?
I don't know. He was part of Montreal's Screwjobs, probably.
Yes. Okay.
Montreal, Connecticut.
Triple H is American. I had no idea.
He's not American?
Paul Levesque.
I thought he was French-Canadian.
He's a French name, but he's American.
Okay, so you guys are big WWE fans. Is
Sure.
John Mellencamp ever crisscrossed into this world?
No, not that I can think of. People may be yelling at me in his car because he always yells at me whenever I get wrestling stuff wrong. But I can't remember anything he's been a part of. So I don't think this is a wrestling thing.
Come on, man.
I don't know. Now I'm wondering, is this all a bit? But I thought they were at each other's throats a little. Hoosier hospitality. I mean,
I just don't like them.
Midwest is so nice.
Yeah, I don't think this was. I think this is not a work at all. I mean, I wasn't surprised by that statement. I'm surprised people were. Like that's not Indiana. That's not Midwest.
But it's so McAfee. Like you give him a microphone, he's cutting a promo. Whether he's at a basketball game, wedding, funeral, he's cutting a promo at all times.
You know why I also wasn't surprised? Because I think a lot of the conversation, at least on the internet, I don't know if that's a conversation happening within Indiana, but it's been about, oh, look at those cocky, over-the-top Knicks fans. We're better than that. We don't do that. We're blah, blah, blah. And then one guy gets stabbed, and then this guy, McAfee's, like, calling people SOBs at the stadium. It does kind of paint the stadium and the team and the fans as, like, are you guys that much different than New York? It doesn't seem like it.
I'm sorry, somebody got stabbed?
Yeah, Pacer fans stabbed Knicks fans. That was a... Nobody's talking about it because it's not about the Knicks fans acting crazy, and it's not about the narrative. Yep. I digress. But yes, Knicks fan got stabbed in a
I think two of them by the same guy.
Two fans got stabbed.
What?
My
Both you guys
entire
didn't know this?
feed is all Knicks and Pacers. I have not seen this
I promise
once.
this is not fake news. There's like a mugshot of the guy and everything.
On the internet. Oh, yeah.
This happened 2 days ago?
Yes.
Yeah,
at least 2 days ago. Yeah. Yeah, Pacer fan stabbed the Knicks fan.
In Indiana.
Two Knicks fans that were
at the game?
They were at a bar.
They were at a bar somewhere in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, not that makes it better, but obviously if it's in the arena.
Yeah, but no, I do think that like this is all. I think this is clouding this whole beef. Is like we're not like those crazy New Yorkers who are like celebrating after a Game 1 victory or anything like that, and then here you have McAfee after Game 4 being like USOBs, and then people getting stabbed and like whoa, we're not like that. I think that's why some of this is happening.
No, that makes a little bit more sense. I don't know how I missed that story. Okay, 888-710-4ISN asking you, did the Knicks find something? Let's get quickly to the Dallas Cowboys because Brian Schottenheimer is figuring out, even though he's a lifer in the NFL and his dad is a legend, he is figuring out, I think now, what it is really like to be in the big chair. And especially for Dallas, Pearl. So he was asked yesterday about, was the question actually about Joe Milton? So the question was about backup quarterback Joe Milton, but then he decided to bring Prescott into it, and that's where you're going to get our attention.
Milton, is he more in because he just got in the league last year, he's more in the developmental phase in terms of how you're trying to get him to grow?
I think they all are. I mean, I think Dak is in the developmental phase, and that sounds crazy for a guy that's played that much, but like there's things that we're tweaking with Dak, so I don't think it's just for Joe. Joe is a guy that we obviously know all about the talent, but the system that he came from in Tennessee, created some challenges in terms of just what he has to learn and.
Okay, Dak's in a developmental stage. I thought the continuity of having Schottenheimer take over for Mike McCarthy, Schotty was already in the building. That everything was going to be kind of beyond the developmental stage. Dak going into his 10th season in the NFL. Here's more from Schottenheimer. Says, well, no QB has it all figured out.
The minute these quarterbacks think that they've figured it all out, that's when it's probably time for them to think about doing something different because the way defenses attack in this league, it makes it almost impossible to ever relax.
Ooh, I like this. I mean, because Tom Brady always was tweaking. He talks about how he tweaked until his 40s. Yeah, this is obviously, I mean, it's kind of obvious that what he's saying, right? I mean, can anyone possibly disagree with any aspect of that?
I don't mind it as like a mentality and a mindset.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, but I think that actually has to come from Dak. Like you're saying, Tom Brady was always talking about his own development. I think a coach, even though, again, Schottenheimer's a lifer, he's never had a head coaching job. This is not Sean Payton coming in and saying, we got to tweak some things. This is not an accomplished head coach who's now coming, I'm not going to say calling out, that's way too harsh, but who's, kind of nitpicking here. Your franchise quarterback is making $60 million, who people want to believe is actually going to be taking you to the playoffs, not, and I guess is Super Bowl still alive for Dak Prescott? That idea that he's in a developmental phase is not what I think Cowboy fans thought they were signing up for this year.
Yeah, I mean, but they have to be psyched, right? Because I think the big worry was that Schottenheimer would be just continuity. Like, Schottenheimer's like, yeah, he's acknowledging we have things to fix, and Dak's definitely down with that. That's kind of quarterback. Quarterbacks have this speak, right? That Schottenheimer's doing quarterback speak. I'm sure Dak would steal that quote and use it tomorrow.
Okay, but there's one thing about Schottenheimer saying it versus Dak saying it. Like, if I say, hey, I thought I had a bad show, I got to go back and I got to clean up some things. That feels different than if our boss comes in and says, bad show. You know, that I'm taking that in a different kind of way. I'm just saying in my own life, when you're taking criticism publicly from something, you know?
But that's it. I mean, you got to, maybe if you read that quote on paper, it looks like that, but you heard that tone. Dak would never take offense to that. It was clearly a coach trying to get through a press conference, and Dak would be like, nice job. Like that, there was zero heat to that quote. I'm positive Dak Prescott could care less about Brian Schottenheimer saying that. Okay. Positive.
And I'll ask you this question. Since when you are the Dallas Cowboys head coach, have we ever done nuance? You want to do it, fine.
There's no nuance. That was a nothing burger. And I don't think, like, Dak definitely does. Dak's been in the league for 11 years. He does not care about an offhanded quote like that at all. Probably zero care. He probably, first of all, he obviously loves Schottenheimer. That's why he's there. Schottenheimer is his guy. I'm sure that he's completely supportive of whatever Schotty says. Like, don't you think, like, why do you think Brian Schottenheimer is a coach? Because Cooper Rush loves him? No, it's because, actually, Cooper's gone now. Yeah. But it's clearly this is Dak's guy. He got his hand-picked guy in there, so he can do whatever he wants, and Dak will support him.
Yeah, that's actually not how I saw the Schottenheimer hiring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. I don't. I think that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys messed this up.
Jerry loves Schottenheimer too.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah,
and I know he said that the Joneses and the Schottenheimers, two amazing football families. That's fine.
What?
That's Marty. And I know Brian's been in the league for a long time, but it's not like he's universally recognized as some quarterback whisperer. This is not, in fact, listen, I'm willing to give him a shot here and a chance. But I know more people who are ticked off about how Brian Schottenheimer ran offenses than are loving him.
Oh, yeah.
And I would look at Seattle and I would look at the Jets. And there are people who really have major beef with how Brian Schottenheimer ran those offenses. So to me, I don't love this. I really don't.
Really? Oh, my God. You want him to say, You don't think it's saying like Dak, there are things we're working on with Dak is good? I would hope so, because whatever Dak's been doing is not getting them to the next level.
Developmental phase I thought was weird. But anyway, going back to the Schottenheimer hiring, I thought that was more Jerry, their misplayed Mike McCarthy situation. And they interviewed like 3 people to be the head coach. That's it. 2 of them was the current offensive coordinator and the former offensive coordinator, so Schottenheimer and Kellen Moore. And then I think they interviewed Robert Saleh, who actually satisfied the Rooney Rule. So, I don't think it was like, man, we knew we had Schotty in the back pocket this whole time. I didn't see it that way. He feels like a clear plan B to me. Now, he might prove us wrong, but I always think these guys who have been in the league forever, Schottenheimer's been coaching for 25 years in the NFL and never got a head coaching opportunity. I find that very strange.
Yeah, but he is obviously, Jerry Jones will only hire people that he likes and he's comfortable with. So Schottenheimer checked that box. But I also, and I have to double check this report, I think he's very close with Dak Prescott. I
hope so. He was the offensive coordinator. And
it's an interesting
McCarthy
choice.
Was calling the plays, but
honestly, this is not the topic, but I would have rather, if I was hiring, I would have gotten somebody that wasn't close to Dak Prescott who could push Dak Prescott. So that was my big fear, is Schotty was just going to be business as usual. This is good, although that was definitely a nothing burger. This is good. Like, yes, he should definitely be working with Dak Prescott to make him better. Otherwise, why are you in the building? Like, just go home. Of course he's working with him to make him better. And if anyone thinks Dak Prescott is perfect, that's even crazier.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4ISN. That's not the only news we have for you from the state of Texas. We'll get to the Longhorns in a moment, but Andrew Bogish is here, and I know it's going to be a tough day for you, Bogues, because you got to do positive Knicks highlights today.
I'm a professional, Maggie. We'll see what we can do. Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. And
I've been kissed harder than that.
Yeah, and as I check our human scoreboards, it does appear the Knicks season did not end last night.
Towns pops to the far corner. Pump fake. Baseline drive. Righty dunk attempt. Drops it and one.
turned into a finger roll as he got hammered by Matherin, and Towns has a chance at a three-point play. Knicks by 16.
As you can already hear, Manny doing his job today because he is emotionally stable because the Knicks won by 17 last night. That was Tyler Murray on Knicks Radio. New York surviving Game 5 at home, 111-94, to send the Eastern Conference Finals back to Indiana for a game tomorrow night. Karl-Anthony Towns, 24 points, 13 boards, 32 from Jalen Brunson, making up for an off night from OG, who had just 11 points on 3 of 14.
What did Jalen Brunson score yesterday?
32 points. Tyrese Halliburton also had his issues, just 8 points, only 7 shots taken. Head coach Rick Carlisle saying that might be his fault.
I'll look at it. There's more things I'm going to have to do to help him, and so I'll take responsibility for that, and we'll see where we can improve.
I'm tired of being a loser.
Pascal Siakam was the only Pacer starter in double figures last night with 15. The team doesn't score 100 points for the first time this postseason, only the 6th time this year.
I'm new May.
It was kind of like the T-Wolves scoring 9 first-quarter points, facing elimination the other night in OKC. The Dallas Stars, their own awful start at home in a do-or-die game with the Oilers.
Back to collect is Wallman. Whistles a pass right side, Arvidsson to the net. Wrist shot, score! Matthias Janmark extends Edmonton's lead to 2-0 in Game 5. The Oilers have 2 goals on 2 shots.
Which is not good for the Dallas Stars. Jack Michaels, Oilers Radio. Those 2 goals on 2 shots had Dallas pulling starting goalie Jake Ottinger. But Edmonton scored again, a 3-0 lead in just 8 minutes. The Stars did score the next 2 goals, but the Oilers won the game 6-3 to take the series in 5. And now we have a Stanley Cup final rematch. Once again, Edmonton and Florida. The Panthers won in 7 a year ago.
Can I make a hockey observation? I'm curious of your thoughts on this. So my favorite part of any hockey series is the handshakes at the end of the series. The Stars love Connor McDavid. Like, he's one of them. Like, this guy went through the line and everybody had to hug him. And if he feels like, I'm not going to say Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, but it felt like this is a special man for the NHL. And even the Stars, to me, were bowing down. Does that
People
sound
hated
weird?
Jordan, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but I mean, they acknowledged, like, it felt like, oh my God, like everybody was rooting for him. Like, I feel like the NHL wants this guy they need this guy to win. Like, they need, and I felt like the Stars had that energy, like, go get him.
Almost
Connor.
like
I don't know if this is just because I saw the right 5 minutes where everybody was hugging him, but it feels like the entire sport like rests on his shoulders to me, and I think a lot of people are rooting for him to do this.
Those handshake lines, I feel like these guys are so tired, exhausted. They've been playing on broken bones probably. Their brains are scrambled from all the hits they've taken. They don't even know what's going on. They're just so happy it's over.
They were like, everybody was sort of going, like LeBron style, like head to head, like, listen, just giving like Connor like 30 seconds of their thoughts on how awesome he was.
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of
Hockey does
that.
support their stars. I mean, look, Gretzky was in the building for Ovechkin to break one of his biggest records.
Yep. So who was it? Was it Biz who told us it's hockey culture?
Yeah.
And I feel like McDavid is, I mean, he obviously stands out.
So can I do 2 other observations here? One, you're the drought buster, slump buster, alive and well, baby. We all got to be big Oiler fans in this series. And
You. Why do you want Canada to win a Stanley Cup?
Because then they break a drought, and then my take goes down as an all-time.
This is the funniest drought in all of sports. Canada not being able to win the Stanley Cup.
No, there's funnier droughts. Black cats, billy goats. There's been funnier stuff.
Why, right?
Thank you. The other...
That was painful.
It's all right. That was a different kind of thing. But the other thing, I do want to make a programming note here, which is the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, which we've been doing for the last couple days. Today we're doing the 4 sports gods for the city of Cleveland.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Yesterday we did Detroit. Wednesday was New York. Monday is going to be Dallas. And whether or not a Dallas Star makes it onto that
I'm gonna say
Mount
no.
Olympus so it's going to be interesting.
This is Mike Madonna erasure, bogus.
I know.
No.
He'd be the guy.
I mean, Dallas, there's a pretty big team.
Tough competition.
Playing down the road.
Get a non-cowboy.
Dallas Wings, right?
Yeah. You can't do 4 Cowboys, can you?
Listen,
challenge accepted.
Yvonne Rodriguez and Alex Rodriguez certainly deserve a spot for the Rangers. Big time.
It's got to be 3 Cowboys and 1 guy. That's, I think, any other Any other
one
Mount
baseball
Olympus
guy
for that city would be
there's
weird.
One baseball guy who kind of stands out, right?
I mean, the Rangers count in this out of Fort Worth? Out of Arlington?
Adrian Beltre deserves some respect.
You're saying Nolan Ryan, but he was on multiple teams, though.
Yeah, but he's a Ranger. You think Nolan Ryan, you think the Texas Rangers. You don't think Nolan Ryan the Met, do you?
I think Astros.
Astros. I think he probably, well, I'm curious. Did he go in the hall as an Astro or a Ranger? Because they wear hats still, right?
They do, yeah.
You can also go generically, though, right? Is that a
I
thing,
think
too?
Messina's
Now
the only
it
one
is,
to
I
do
believe.
so,
He
yeah.
might be a Ranger, though.
Oh, he probably is a Ranger because he worked for the team, no?
Let's get on the Google machine.
Yeah, this should be hard. Instead of talking about it, we should be able to just type in some words and
I'm
find
sure
out the
America
answer.
loves us just guessing.
Ask
wildly.
Rock.
Anyway, Monday
Where's
is
our
the day
research
we
team?
do Dallas, Mount Olympus. What'd you say, Manny?
Where's our research team?
It's you.
That's us. Whoops.
You're busy celebrating a Knicks victory.
Baseball last night, the Rays rolled through Houston 13-3, and the Jays kept the A's struggling 12-0. The old Oakland boys have dropped 14-15, outscored 117-44 over that stretch. And the Chicago Sky got their first win of this WNBA season last night, 97-92 over the Dallas Wings. And in that win, Courtney Vandersloot scored 19 points to pass her wife, Allie Quigley, for the most points in franchise history.
That's so cute.
Guys, back to you.
By the way, can I just follow up on one segment from earlier on the show? Bespoke Show, appreciate this. I was laughed at when I said Triple H was from Montreal. Laughed at and condescended to by the wrestling fans. Where do you think Paul Levesque's family comes from? Or wherever
Where
you
is
pronounce
he
it.
from?
I think he's from Woodlands, Texas.
He's obviously French-Canadian.
Where
Of course
is
his
he?
family is French-Canadian. He
This is
grew
the
up
most-
in New Hampshire, 3 hours from Montreal. That was not a horrible idea by me. You laughed at me like I'd never seen a wrestling match in my life.
Montreal, Connecticut.
Am I tripping right now?
Well, yeah, but I said
he
he's
grew
from Montreal. You go, you think Triple H is from Montreal? Like,
He's from New Hampshire. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
But of course his family's from Montreal. How do you get named Paul Levesque? That's
I
where
literally
it's
said
from.
his name is Paul. I said on the show his name's Paul Levesque. But I said he's not. I think he's from Connecticut or the north. I knew he's from New England.
He's a Texas Ranger, by the way.
That's no.
He's from Nashua, New Hampshire, and his grandfather's from Montreal. So
Right.
anyway, it was not an idiotic take by me to think that he was from Montreal.
He literally isn't from Montreal. How is this a conversation? How is this a conversation? You asked me if he's from Montreal. I said no.
That's not exactly how it went down. It was a condescending, like, oh, you don't know wrestling kind of take. I'm going to play it back right now.
I want you to go to WrestleMania next year and just walk around saying, "Isn't Triple H from Montreal?" And I want to see what kind of reactions you get.
I think
Wrestling
it was-
fans will be like, "What?"
Because he was in the Montreal screw job. That's
because
what
his-
EJ said.
Because his name, well, you thought that's what it was, but he's obviously French-Canadian of ethnicity. I mean,
I'm going to tweet my displeasure.
I can hear the accent.
Yeah.
Barely understand the guy.
Does he say a boot?
I might even send an Instagram or a Vine.
Organization?
I'm going to jump on social media.
That's all the AAA drops I have.
I was gonna say
That's 3 too many.
Let's go.
We need 3 more.
Send a strongly worded letter. What is he, John Mellencamp? Took to Instagram to call out his own fans.
I mean, also to be clear, like being Canadian in wrestling is a big deal. So to say someone is Canadian when they're not is crazy.
Because the heart connection?
It's not me,
It's just
folks,
in
right?
wrestling.
Like he's
What do you mean?
strange.
What do you mean it's a
He
thing?
just said being Canadian in wrestling is a big deal. Like, what are
It
we
is.
talking about?
What is
It's like
that
being
here?
Mexican is a big deal.
Oh, I understand that part. But yeah, because I mean, Canada, does it have a rich history in wrestling? Like,
I'm
Hearts.
walking out of the show. I can't believe what I'm hearing right now.
Isn't the Hearts? Am I right about that or wrong?
Yeah, this is like it's like hockey and then wrestling. Like, are you guys kidding me?
I thought it was beer.
That too, and manties. I don't like
Tim Hortons.
Oh, Canada is known for hockey and pro wrestling.
And Tim
Canada.
Hortons.
Oh my gosh.
And kids in the hall.
One of the days I miss having people out of here. I mean, I don't know if I want him here. He might break something.
He would have walked out 2 segments
he might
ago.
have broke the control board.
888-710-4ISN. 888-710-476. All right. Well, let's get to more from the state of Texas in just a moment because the Longhorns put down their foot. No. We'll tell them what happened next.
What? You're in a 5-minute break.
Believe Bilatti's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out boo, boo. Bring it back, or can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. Believe Bilatti's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC.
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I'm told this is Machine Gun Kelly, who's from Cleveland. We'll be doing the Mount Olympus of Cleveland athletes later today, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the 4 sports gods from the city of Cleveland. And I got a doozy for you today, bro.
I had no idea Machine Gun Kelly was from Cleveland. I guess I should have known that.
Why should you have known that?
I don't know. I thought I thought he was from Detroit. I have no idea why. Kind of got him confused with Kid Rock and Eminem or something. I don't know.
Listen.
Kid Rock and Machine Gun Kelly, similar nicknames.
We got to get to the Longhorns. Want to point out this story because we get this really great Big Ten SEC matchup in college football, Pearl, to kick off the 2025 season, where we get Ohio State hosting Texas. Now, this game's going to be on Fox, and it's going to be part of their big noon Saturday. So apparently the Buckeyes were trying to get this move to be under the lights,
Sure.
right? They want this as maximum drunken fan base. They want maximum nighttime, all the things that come with it. And the Longhorns said, to quote Lee Corso, not so fast. Longhorns were able to put their foot down here, and they were able to say, no, we want this at noon. So guess what? It's happening at noon. They get to keep the time. Do you feel like they should be able to have a say, or should the home team be the one that gets to make this decision unilaterally?
Yeah, I think the home team should. By the way, I love the Fox always trying to make that noon game a thing. I think ultimately it's a home team's decision. I think they should. Wait, actually, your question was, should the TV and the conference be able to make the call? I think the home team should set the time. That's the funny thing about college football is that it works like the NFL when it comes to some of these things.
I'm sorry, I should have said this other detail. They wanted to move the game to Sunday, right? It was going to be Sunday night in prime time, I think was the original idea.
Labor Day weekend?
Because the NFL is not kicked off yet. So you would not have a weird thing with the window there. I understand why Texas wants to keep this at noon completely. I think this should be up to the home team's discretion. I do. If the TV networks can figure it out, I think the home team, this is part of the home field advantage. I think that you should be able to say, we're kicking off the game whenever we want to kick it off.
Well, let me ask you this, and I agree with you, but when the committee is judging teams at the end of the year, are you going to take that into account if Texas loses that game at night? Say they did move it tonight. We'd be like, oh, that's a tough strike to victory. Because Lane Kiffin point out rightly, it's much harder to win at night at the SEC than it is during the day. Like you go into Baton Rouge at night, it's like a disaster. Like the LSU is really good. So are you sophisticated enough to take into account that like winning at Ohio State at night is really hard?
No, but then you get to enjoy the same thing when it happens at your stadium. So
you mean next year?
No, but do you remember there was a couple years ago when Texas and Alabama were playing each other and that game happened at noon? Well, then Texas in that case could have been able to flex that to a night game. You're going to get the favor returned to you at some point. So, and I get what Lane Kiffin said, and I've never coached a game at night versus a game at noon, but it's a couple hours. I mean, the committee is supposed to really take that into account because the fans had 5 more margaritas. This is not going to be popular, but I think Alabama going into Vandy that night, after they had the big win in Georgia, like you have to understand in the SEC when a team like Alabama comes into your house, it's a madhouse. It's like a soccer crowd. It's insane. And I do think, it's harder to win those games than it is to win during the day. I really believe that. Well, first of all, there were plenty of Alabama fans who were in the stadium that night in Vandy. And by the way, the stadium was under construction. They didn't even have the maximum amount of fans that could have been there for Vandy. This sounds like coping, excuses, all that stuff. I've never coached one of these games, but I find it hard to believe that a fan is really screaming that much louder because they've had 3 more daiquiris over the course of the day.
Wait. No, that's true because any night game if you're at an Eagles game at night, be very, very careful. Like those fans are drunk and angry.
I can confirm. I've been there.
Of course, but they're not getting down on the field. I mean, is that also managing the game?
It has such a different vibe. It has such a different vibe for the game.
But how does that change how you coach?
Well, it's just, if you think home field advantage and the rabidness of the crowd affects the game, which I do, then it makes a difference. And how it changes for your coach, honestly, I think it changes the officials. The officials are affected by it.
Why?
Because it's scary when 75,000 people or even more are screaming at you and they're hammered. You might be affected. Science shows that officials are affected by home crowds, and those home crowds are even more intense at night. So definitely.
Listen, we had last year where you had students and fans throwing stuff onto the field. I'm just letting you know they can do that at noon, just like they can at 8 o'clock.
They're much more likely to do it at night, though, right?
I don't think so. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. What do you think about that? Night games so wildly different from day games. Your thoughts? Also, Patrick Mahomes at the mic.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Towns on a one-hand pass to the right side for Brunson. Catch and shoot three. He got it. Brunson from the far side angle. He's got 22 points. And the Knicks have a game-high 16-point lead.
Knicks stay alive. Can they complete a 3-1 comeback? They'd be the 14th team, Perloff, in NBA history to complete a 3-1 comeback. But obviously, they've now just forced a Game 6. The series goes back to Indiana on Saturday night. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Knicks never trailed, in this game. They win by 17 points. Brunson jumped all over the Pacers from the very beginning. Great first quarter, great third quarter, as you just heard from that highlight from the Knicks radio network. And Karl-Anthony Towns had a great second quarter, and Indiana basically waved the white flag with about 2.5 minutes left to go.
So I've been thinking a lot about this. This is definitely a kind of series where a team could come back from 3-1 because they're so evenly matched. And let's face it, the Pacers are just not that good in the sense that, they're a 50-win team. Nobody thought they would be here. They're not the Thunder. Like, you were not going to come back from 3-1 against a 68-win Oklahoma City Thunder. But this matchup feels like tailor-made for a potential comeback.
Yeah, well, the Pacers aren't a good enough defensive team to give them the type of credit that Oklahoma City would have. Oklahoma City is setting records as far as defensive rating and stuff like that. Pacers want to just go up and down the floor. They want to get into a track meet. So yeah,
they're a good team, but they're an average. I mean, their talent level is good, not elite by any chance. They would just disappear in the West. They're not as good as the Nuggets or any teams like that.
Well, but that's why I think the Knicks fans were so disappointed when they went down 3-1, even though it was some of the crazier games that you're ever going to see, and Tyrese Halliburton hitting these crazy shots. But the fact is, up until last night, Halliburton had matched Jalen Brunson shot for shot. He had been just as clutch as Brunson, and that was sort of the calling card for this Knicks team. And the Pacers are a deeper team. The Knicks now have been forced to use their bench more. It feels like a little late in the process that you're going to be starting to feel out new lineups. But it has been working. And then last night you get two great offensive nights from Brunson and Towns, and you got a really good defensive effort from Mikal Bridges. We're asking you if the Knicks found something here. I still think that Indiana's going to take the series. I apologize to EJ and Manny. I'm not trying to rain on your parade.
Boo this woman.
I just have I have some of my concerns about the defensive effort for the Knicks being as consistent as it needs to be. This was the first time the Pacers were held under 100 points this postseason.
Who are you scared? I mean, let's have real talk about these Pacers, though. Who are you really scared of besides Halliburton, number one, and Siakam? After that, it's just stop.
Nesmith has been good. You just refuse to admit that.
I mean, he wasn't good last night. He was terrible.
He was terrible last night, but he's been good in the series. He's the reason they won Game 1.
But who? Yeah, I know that. But to me, that was a fluke. That was an absolute and utter fluke.
Well, nobody's going to hit 8 of 9 shots. Sure, he turned to the second coming of Steph Curry for 2.5 minutes or into overtime too. But here's the thing: he is a over 40% three-point shooter. It's not like he's some stiff out there who all of a sudden had a Jeremy Lin moment. He
makes 1.9 threes a game, and he had 8 threes. That to me is an anomaly. And he's good defensively. He's a good, I'll give you, he's
There's a reason he's in the starting lineup.
But generally, though, I think coming into this series, nobody was worried about Aaron Nesmith. Generally, he is considered a role player in this NBA. He's not a star. You know what I mean? He scored 12 points a game. He's definitely a B player. Same with Andrew Nembhard. They're just not a wildly talented team. I think they win because their coach is great, and Halliburton really drives the team in the right way. He's a point guard who can score and distribute. So the Knicks, to me, the key, two things, pace, and they really did a nice job on limiting Halliburton, and they got in his head. We'll see. To me, the biggest story is, can Halliburton respond in Game 6? Can he play like he had early in the series?
Right. And, I think that he actually is a really good player, like borderline great player. Right.
Yeah, Halliburton is, but I don't think the rest of the team are. So I think you can really focus on the top two guys in Indiana and say, you know what, if Nesmith is going to hit eight threes and we're going to lose that way, fine. That's how I would approach this. Just try to stop Halliburton and slow down Siakam a little, or maybe even let Siakam score. And then just let the other guys score. It's got to be all about Halliburton because I agree with you. He's the only elite guy on this squad.
Right. So I don't think he's going to have a second game in a row where he scores 8 points. You know what I'm saying? And
he might, though. I mean, the way they played him, the way they were forcing him out of his spots, like they could say, you know what, we're going to double team you, so you're going to have to pass the ball. That's what I would do. I'd say don't let Halliburton get a shot going.
Let's hear from Karl Anthony Towns. Said he knew, obviously, he had to play his best because this was do or die.
I looked at the game and it said Game 5, do or die. That was pretty much all I needed to see. Shout out to our medical staff. They gave me a chance to go out there and compete tonight. I'm glad I was able to. We put a lot of hours in trying to get myself ready so I could have a chance, and God was good. I was able to go out there and play.
All right, more from Towns said the team had no choice but to keep up this type of defensive effort moving forward.
We have to. We have to. It's we have no more room for error. It's our backs are against the wall, and every game is do or die. So we don't bring that energy, we don't bring that execution. Our season will be over.
You are the best. Stay alive.
Well, it's ironic because Cat's one of the big defensive liabilities on the team, and also that they had no energy in Game 4. But obviously, that wasn't an elimination game. It was just to go down 3-1, and obviously they rectified that. So we'll see what happens on Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, this is again, it's like any playoff series, all about energy. The Pacers had none last night. You call that, by the way, just so everyone knows. Maggie said, "Expect the Knicks to win this game big."
I didn't want to jinx you guys, but it's just like it felt like the Knicks are not the type of team that was going to go out like Minnesota did, where they basically did 1-2-3 Cancun in the Western Conference Finals.
Totally. It's just, to me, it feels like these teams are so even. Such weird stuff happens, starting with Game 1 when Halliburton's shot hit the back of the rim. I don't know. I just get if you root against the Knicks, I get a bad vibe. And I actually was into it until I came in this morning and saw Manny and EJ celebrating. Now I realize once again, I'm sorry, a winning Knicks fan base is insufferable.
We are the
insufferable.
Well, by the way, I'm picking against the Knicks. I still think the Pacers are going to win, but I am buying breakfast this morning as a way to kind of,
in your face,
like soften the edges there. So hopefully, like some kind
of
the
edges. These guys are on cloud 9.
Some kind of bagel cream cheese situation.
Oh, we'll slow them down.
No, not like carbs slowing you down. I'm saying
fatten me up for the slaughter.
We're all friends here. So for me to be like, I think your team's gonna lose, which is like particularly gut wrenching for these guys. Like, well, but also here's some breakfast.
Hey, I don't believe in your team. Here's some food.
Here's an egg.
Wow.
Here's an egg scrambled.
If I had $1 for every person that told me my team was gonna lose, I would not have to work in the industry. Let me just say that.
Helicoptering into work.
You do have to admit, EJ, you did not feel a lot of confidence going to the Celtics series. Into it.
No, I said the Knicks would lose in 6. I didn't think they'd get destroyed. I didn't think they'd get swept. I said they'd lose in 6.
How do you feel now? How do you feel now about this series? You think we're getting a Game 7? You want to think about it?
I lean yes, but
let's go.
The Pacers are, I do not underestimate the Pacers. I know people think I do. I really do not. They're a very good team. They're very well coached, and I also don't underestimate Tom Thibodeau's ability to screw up a good thing. So this might be the thing that gets me off.
I'm surprised, Maggie, because I would think that you were so convinced the NBA is utterly fixed.
Yeah, this is really throwing a monkey wrench into that whole thing.
Well, I would assume you think the refs are going to help the Knicks in Game 6 because this is a very hard series to officiate. They're both very handsy, and I think I hate to say this, officiating is going to be a huge part of this. Like Definitely. How physical they let them be is a massive storyline here.
No doubt, but last night the officials didn't need to play into it. It was Knicks were getting to every 50-50 ball. Knicks had, just had the lead. I don't even know what the Pacers even cut it to.
There was still at least 45 plays that there was an argument with the official. Maybe 100 plays. Pascal Siakam.
But the game never felt close.
Well, I'm just saying, like, everybody was arguing every call.
Well, that's every NBA game on the history of the planet Earth.
Well, it's way worse now. It is. I mean, Pascal Siakam's shooting.
Just in general.
No. The NBA playoffs now. Pascal Siakam's shooting form is actually take the shot and immediately put your hands out like this, asking where the official was, where the call was. I've never seen him take a shot and not complain about a call. But then again, nobody cares anymore because everyone's so used to. I mean, the NBA has gotten softer that way. People would hammer everyone back in the Knicks Heat days with the Pat Riley and. I don't know. It's just gotten worse.
Refs suck.
They also call the game sometimes really differently from the first half to the second half,
Absolutely.
too. Like, they'll let everything go in the first half, then they'll start doing touch fouls in the second half, which doesn't make any sense.
Well, they're trying to contain the physicality. Like, it goes back and forth. But if according to you, if they're going to fix the lottery, wouldn't they fix this series to get the Knicks into the finals?
So I do have a theory about referees in the NBA, if you want to hear it. We want to get to Patrick Mahomes in just a moment, but I do have this theory about it. And there are two types of influence, right? Soft and hard, I think, is it's a term for how ambassadors and stuff kind of lean on other countries to get them to do what they want to do. You can have like soft influence, or you can have like some kind of really robust influence. I think the draft is like hand on the scale, hand on the ping pong ball, if you will.
Yeah.
I think that's like hard influence. Like,
right.
I do believe in these theories. I know everyone wants to call me crazy about it. Just let me have my thing. Frozen envelope, that's hard influence. That
was 45 years ago, yep.
Literally,
we're not going to yuck your yums.
Impacting where somebody goes. So I think the draft, I think NBA refs is a little more of a soft influence. And I'm going to put Tim Donaghy to the side because I could just say I think the refs are actually taking mob money and throwing games, which they weathered that scandal. I think it's a soft influence. I think it's more of I'm not going to say like a wink, wink, nudge. I don't think there's paper trails. I don't think there's conversations. I don't think that there's anything that would link anybody to anything. Again, outside of Tim Donaghy getting busted by the FBI. I just think there's kind of like an acknowledgement maybe that if the refs, sometimes they don't play into it. Sometimes you can't. You can't go overt on this stuff. But if there is a moment to make things closer, to benefit the owners and the league by having more games, then they will do it.
Oh, yeah, I kind of agree with that. But, hey, let me ask you this question. You work for the league, right?
I was a production assistant.
In New York City or in New Jersey?
In Secaucus, New Jersey for NBA Entertainment.
So I used to work at the NFL. I did 2.5 years in the corporate office. And my wife works for the government. Obviously. Yeah. These people are not smart. They are not smart enough to fix ping pong balls. In a million years, they could not logistically figure that out. A million.
You don't think it's a frozen envelope?
Frozen envelope, maybe.
That was brilliant.
That was lo-fi. I watched the lottery. I'm like, the odds of those people getting organized enough to fix those ping pong balls, and more relevant, the odds of them being organized enough to actually get the officials to do what they want, impossible.
I've heard the allegation.
Those officials there is no way they could organize this and get this done. Like,
are you not familiar with Scott Foster's work?
Mm-hmm.
He's a household name.
But he's consistent at least. Like, there's no, like, everyone knows what Scott Foster's going to do. Like, I think, like you're saying, the NBA is going to get in there and tinker. The league is not competent enough to do that. And there's no way, there's no way they could have physically figured out a way to get the right ping pong ball to go up there in the air. There's just, in a 1,000 years, Adam Silver could not figure that out.
Okay, but you also agree with me that there is some type of soft influence when it comes to the refs. Like, the refs kind of, I would say, understand the assignment. Now, you can't get overt about it. Tim Donaghy got overt about it because he was a gambling addict who was on the take.
There's no connection between what Tim Donaghy was doing and the normal series
It's sort
extender.
of like extend the series.
Yeah, maybe, but I do not think...
There's too much money at stake.
But I don't think that there's probably a lot of money at stake to put the Knicks in over the Pacers. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I also, just because, the evidence is like all sorts of small markets make the NBA Finals. If they were trying to get small markets out of the NBA Finals, they wouldn't have let San Antonio in there.
Well, you have to, the game still has to be played, right? There's nothing you can do when a team's leading wire to wire, mostly by double digits, right? It's
yeah, but I mean, if you look at the Lakers in the early 2000s and the Donaghy games, there is something you can do.
Oh, I mean, Sacramento fans, I don't know how you could sleep at night just understanding how close you were and how just absolutely railroaded you got in the Western Conference Finals. It was atrocious. I remember watching it. It was such a joke.
By the way, Mavs in, 06 against the Heat, whoever year that was, they also got a gripe.
No kidding. Dwayne Wade was basically just at the free throw line the entire, game 5 was it?
Yeah, he was taking 20 free throws in these games. It was ridiculous.
Let's get to Patrick Mahomes. But you can call in about Knicks Pacers. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Top of the next hour, the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods of every great sports city in this country, comes your way. Today we tackle Cleveland. All right, let's get to Mahomes.
Cleveland!
Travis Kelce, Ohio native, but more from the Cincinnati suburbs. No. New Heights is outside of Cleveland. Pardon me.
Yep.
So this is Patrick Mahomes talking about Clevelandite-ish Travis Kelce. If this is Kelce's last year, Mahomes says he's not acting like it.
If it's the last ride, you would never know. I mean, the way he's talking about football, the way he's talking about working and trying to be even better this year than he was last year. I mean, he's not. It doesn't seem like a guy that it's his last ride. Like he's tired of the job. I mean, he's in here, he's working, and I know his body feels good. I think it feels better than even last year before going into last season. Just because I think he's motivated to go out there and have an even better year than he had this last.
Fair, I believe it all from Mahomes, Pearl, but I don't think it means what Mahomes thinks it means. I think the renewed focus, maybe, and him really dialing in probably means it is his last year. Because I think that Kelce, not only does he have, is he a champion and a Hall of Famer, and he deserves all this good stuff. I actually think that for his brand, it is kind of to have this sort of storybook go out on top. Him and Taylor, like it became this like really like a movie when their relationship started, and the fact they went to the Super Bowl that year and then won. Now you get the dip of losing to your Philadelphia Eagles and really getting smacked around. I think for the Kelce, like for his future and to kind of wrap this up in a nice bow, which is hard to do in sports. It's hard to thread that needle. Yeah. He feels like going out on top. And maybe then there's a Taylor proposal or something like that, and they are just even more of a rocket ship than they are.
But don't you think it's hard for players to predict? I know we think Travis Kelce's not a normal player, but I remember Gronk retired and came back. Like, it's hard to give this sport up. That's why I don't – even if Travis Kelce comes in, and you could be right, comes in with a plan to retire, I think to actually retire is so – especially if you're still good, is really hard. So if he is laser focused and good this year, I think it's going to be impossible – for him to hang up the cleats. It's if he's still productive, you have to go out on an injury. Kind of like Brady. Brady, let's face it, like that last season was not good. I think you got to go out with a whimper. You can't go out with a bang. It's very, very rare.
Well, here's the thing about Gronk, though. He got the call from the bat phone from Brady. Yeah. Gronk had been retired. I mean, we were talking about WWE earlier in the show. Gronk had like transitioned. He was like McAfee.
And then he came back.
But I think that's because he and Tom had the special connection, and I think that he was doing a solid for a former teammate because Gronk also didn't stick around to the end of Brady. He came back, they won the Super Bowl, but he didn't stay till the end.
Yeah, but I mean, but it does point to the fact that it's easier said than done. If you still got to have some gas in the tank to retire. And I think there's this idea that Travis Kelce is a movie character, like he's a Hallmark character. Yeah, he's actually a real athlete.
He's a real person? Wait, what?
Yeah. Gronk did 2 seasons in Tampa Bay, so he didn't even quit after the Super Bowl. But yeah, I think that Travis Kelce, again, he's not in a movie. This is actually a real person who, and I was actually shocked that Jason didn't come back. Shocked.
9-time MVP.
Because he clearly had trouble letting go of being a player. I think Travis Kelce. He
should have come back. He would have won the Super Bowl.
I think Travis is going to have a hard time letting go.
Yeah, there's a whole world waiting for him, though.
Yeah, but that, again, I know that there is like movies and everything. It's hard. I mean, I was shocked. Our cohort, when Tiki walked away, that was crazy to me because he was still so good.
Yep.
And I know he had the Today Show waiting and all sorts of TV opportunities. I don't think every athlete can do that, even for opportunities like movies. I think if he is a football player, there's no way. I think about retired athletes, like there's no way to ever replace that. There's nothing you can do that can recreate 80,000 people cheering for you. That is the ultimate high. So even being married to Taylor Swift and being in a movie is not football.
That's true. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So Mahomes says that this is renewed, fervor, excitement, enthusiasm, whatever it is for Kelce. So he said he doesn't look like a guy ready to retire. One more thing from Mahomes, Manny. Can I get cut 12? Mahomes was asked about the Olympic flag football team, which has been approved by the owners that active players could participate. Still has a lot more hoops to jump through. Here's Mahomes on whether or not he would play.
Yeah, I know it's awesome, honestly, just to be able to showcase the NFL to the whole world through flag football. But I'll probably leave that to the younger guys. I'll be a little older by the time that thing comes around.
So that's a no. It's a pass.
Have you thought about some names who you want at that QB? I got a couple.
I already told you. I picked Lamar Jackson.
Oh, so I think this could be during training camp. Like, I do not send a current player. Like, if I'm an owner and I let him, I got Tom Brady number 1, Andrew Luck number 2.
Oh my gosh!
Can I throw? I was going to say Kurt Warner for S&Gs, but you know what? I like that.
I thought you have to be mobile. I thought that was the whole thing about flag football. You want your quarterback to also be a running threat. You just gave me 3 guys who don't run at all.
All right, fine. Michael Vick.
Wait, why do you have to?
Michael Vick might actually be.
Now
that might be good.
I'm thinking more 7-on-7 where you don't need to be mobile. I think also too you could get a Division II starter and whoop the rest of the world easily in this.
Cam Ward.
Actually, we could get any of us could throw into. We're throwing to Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams.
But I thought you wanted like Jaden Daniels type and Lamar Jackson, and this was like the whole thing about flag. Dual threat,
no,
Josh Allen.
Is flag more like 7-on-7 is obviously a throwing sport. I don't know anything about flag. I've never even watched a game in my life.
The only thing I know
Not watching the Pro Bowl flag games?
The only thing I know about is this guy Hoosh who keeps complaining about the fact that he's not going to make the team now.
Yeah.
And he's a quarterback, and all I see him doing is running. Like the way they talk about Lamar Jackson being a running back, that's him.
Justin Fields, right? Weren't these the names that were getting thrown out there of guys who might be really good at this?
The self-proclaimed greatest flag football player in the United States is a running quarterback. I'm going to assume that we need a running quarterback.
Yeah, Tom Brady. What are you, crazy?
No, the self-proclaimed flag football
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, Tom Brady, that would be the worst decision.
Exactly.
No, I mean, you have incredible receivers, though. Like, you're not going to want your quarterback running when you have, I mean, you're going to put, if you get pros, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, like, you're going to want to throw to those guys, right? And you have, if you want Saquon, like.
Isn't it harder to tackle in flag football, though? That's why I think they run, right?
Well, it's not tackling.
No, I know. Yeah. Like, it's hard to get a stop defensively where they get a person running who's really fast. Like, so that's what I think. That's why
Andrew Luck back there. Have you guys seen it? Now, you guys clowned me the other day because Luka looked like he had lost a lot of weight, and from one photograph, and I was like, I couldn't tell anything. And you guys were like, "What are you, blind?" He looks like he's down 20 pounds.
Yes, I scheduled an appointment with your eye doctor, Maggie, next week.
Thank you. Now, Andrew Luck, I can tell, lost weight.
I was thinking that too.
That guy is now a totally different looking human being to me. Not even like a Joe Thomas, like these offensive linemen who retire and then get real, thin or jacked or whatever. Andrew Luck does not look like a football player anymore.
He also feels like he hates football. I know he's technically working in football.
He's the GM of Stanford.
I know. Have you seen him talk about that job? Like, he's had such issues already since he got there.
They had to fire the coach.
Yeah, he sounds like he wants to give up already. And I don't mean
he just wants to sit around and read a book.
Yeah, I put him back out
dude,
there.
Have you ever read about his investing? Oh my God!
Just sit around and count his money.
His dad knows about the bread. Yeah,
but he got into the Palo Alto scene, so he's in the
Bitcoin, crypto.
No. He's in the tech companies. Like, he's on a bunch of boards. Like, he's got all, that's where all the money is.
It's in his blood.
He is deep into that. Oliver's got the oil business. He's got the tech business in his pocket. So he doesn't need football. But he's only 35.
Still rides a bike to work.
I'm telling you right now, he's only 35, and he was pretty fast when he was active. I think he could still move enough. I'm thinking 7-on-7.
It's over, guys. Let it go. He doesn't want to play.
Yeah, but it's flag football against France.
Against
He's
French
fine.
accountants.
Yeah. He's fine. You don't need Lamar Jackson to win this gold.
Can you imagine, we get, Jaden Daniels in there.
And if you're going to retire, how about RG3? He's only like 35 too.
And he's been asking to come back to play football for the past 3 years on Twitter.
I think he's too much smoke around RG3 now.
He's 36.
I had about 7 jokes that I'm just going to keep in the holster.
Yeah.
That guy is something else.
Yeah, I mean for the internet, but actual winning at a gold medal, he'd be great.
He is still really fast. Remember when he raced a Seahawk or something? The bird. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476.
I just want to hear Italian say,
wow, Jaden Daniels.
Wouldn't sound like that accent, but close.
So much to do, including a surprise candidate for some early Super Bowl odds. This one really caught our attention. Is this right? I don't know. 888-710-4ISN. Top of the hour, we do the Mount Olympus, the all-time greats, the sports gods from the city of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. You're in a 5-minute break.
dismay. No NBA on NBC. Roasting Tom Brady, we took it too far. But Maggie don't care, she's a superstar. Said the kids need to learn to laugh at the pain, so we'll keep on joking. No need to explain. We may have crossed the line, but who's to say? Maggie's teaching her children to handle it her way, making light of the struggles, finding joy through the tears. With a sense of humor, they'll conquer their fears. Ha ha ha, let's laugh it off. Put a smile on your face. Ha ha ha, bring on the jokes. No need to keep the pace. Peter Bellatti's got something to say about Tom Brady and a roast on that day. He's angry and he's speaking his mind, saying Brady was out of line. Glorious lad, he's on the chat, tuning in where it's at. Pine Needles wakes up at dawn, coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see, the Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, living life in 20-second views, scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daddy's keeping score, YouTube's his love. He's begging for more, double tap, clicking on that video. From sunrise to sunset, he never lets it go. Maggie snappy, Perloff's got a glow. Daddy's hooked.
On the other side of the glass, I saw a curious sight. Amy Lawrence in her power, but wait, hold up, no seat in sight. Her chair is gone this quiet night. Odyssey's finest, infinity's pride. Now Amy's pacing, no place to slide. She scans the room, but it's just air. A burning question, who took my chair? Ooh, who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gel with his innocent stare? Orion hit you with his towering hair. It's not Pete Bellotti, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? Zach says, hey, I didn't steal, I never mess with Amy's wheels. Ryan's hair is high and proud, but he swears he's innocent, yelling out loud, I got no motive, I'm just tall. His hair almost scrapes the studio wall, but Amy's still standing, no time for lies. Someone's gonna pay, no more alibis. Who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gel with his innocent stare? Orion hit you with his towering hair. It's not Pete Bellotti, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? The chair is gone, Amy's on fire. Infinity Sports has one desire, to return the throne before the show, or Amy's wrath will surely glow. Who stole Amy's chair? Zach and Ryan, do you even care? Is it hidden under Hickey's hair? Or maybe Gub's got it, he swears, I swear. It's not Pete Bellotti, he's still not there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? So if you see a chair on the go, rolling around on some late night show, call Infinity Odyssey 2. Amy's coming, and she's looking for you.
All right, this NASCAR race preview is sponsored by WeatherGuard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. Manny, What's happening this weekend?
Guys, the NASCAR Cup Series is headed to the Music City. It's the Cracker Barrel 400 from Nashville Super Speedway. Last week, Kyle Larson, he attempted the double, racing in both the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day. And the results for Larson, well, a DNF in the Indy 500 and a DNF in the 600. With that result, Larson, he drops out of the top spot in the standings. William Byron is now atop the Cup leaderboard with Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, and Tyler Reddick rounding out the top 5. It's a Cracker Barrel 400 under the lights of Nashville Super Speedway. Green Flag Wave Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Nice job, Manny Pucks. Got to get to this story because when I brought this up months ago, I was complaining about something that had happened to me on a flight. And I said, this has started happening to me on a couple different flights now, and it feels like it's becoming a little bit more like an epidemic. It's kind of spreading. And I wasn't happy about it. And you had no idea what I was talking about, Bogusch. I don't remember if you were on board. I don't remember getting a lot of support. Let's just put it that way. I don't remember exactly how the conversation was, but I think it was something like, you're crazy, stop complaining, crazy lady.
No, I just, I've never had this experience.
It was about plane farters.
I remember this dialogue.
Yeah. People who just can't hold it in on a plane. You're packed in like a sardine. The airflow kind of tough. And it was just like awful on the plane. EJ happened to him on the way back from Mexico, and you were someone who was not supportive of me at first, but then came around with your own experience.
Yeah, this is actually I'm on my way there. But yes, I was like, Maggie, someone clearly was having an issue. Maybe they were sick, like you got to give them a break. Then someone just decided the last 25 minutes was going to be all about them and went into business for themselves, literally. And it was gross.
May I present to you the other Isaiah Thomas, not the
Zeke.
Bad boy Piston, but the Boston Celtic.
Boston Mount Olympus.
At one point.
For about 3 weeks.
Team kind of screwed him over, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, Isaiah Thomas, the other one, University of Washington, tweeted this yesterday, and Manny with his eagle eye caught it. Man, when I'm on these flights, I'd be farting so much, LOL, especially these overseas flights. It's all bad if you sit by me.
What?
Wow.
Isaiah Thomas must be stopped. Manny, good call catching this.
Was Isaiah Thomas on either one of your flights?
I think I would have recognized him.
He might have been. I mean, former NBA player going to Cancun sounds about right.
See, I wouldn't mind normally sitting next to NBC short. He wouldn't take up a lot of room.
Right.
Yeah, no, he would be good. You don't want like someone who's 400, 500 pounds.
If you thought that Dan Patrick boat was an issue, with you throwing up, sitting next to Dan Thomas on a plane might be worse.
That was a good story from yesterday about Perloff getting sick on a deep sea fishing adventure with DP.
Yeah, I generally can't smell much because of allergies, so I might miss it.
Ah, you're lucky.
I might miss it, but I would notice like the people all across the aisle grimacing.
Yeah, everyone's trying to put their nose in their shirt. There's nowhere to go. You're trapped. What are you going to go outside for a breath of fresh air? You're 30,000 feet in the air.
I would not recommend that. Don't try opening the door.
No, it's crazy. This is not an episode of the Twilight Zone. There's no one on the wing. Anyway, if Isaiah Thomas is given the green light here, I'm afraid that he's going to enable others as if society hasn't been enabled enough. Because clearly it's an epidemic.
America, we got to come together. We can all stop this. We got to shame these people. Isaiah Thomas, shame. This was embarrassing that you would admit this. And
you're exporting it. I mean, we're going overseas flights here. Now, I don't know how America's standing in the world, but this ain't helping.
Can you imagine just, what's that smell? And then you just look over Isaiah Thomas.
Excuse me. Just grinning.
Nasty.
I would assume it's not him because I would be like, oh, there's no way like Isaiah Thomas would do that. Like, he would know that everybody would then tweet about it. But then this dude tweeted it himself, so it doesn't even matter.
Cell phone. I think that athletes have generally really good diets. So you're probably eating a lot of kale.
Sure.
Leafy stuff, and that's you're just gonna be tooting all over the place.
All that fiber.
Yeah. Beans.
Yeah, like a yoga class, I've heard stories about those. If you go to a yoga retreat, apparently
let loose.
A lot of methane issues.
Like Brady must be just a trail of tears.
Or a trail of gas.
No, I'm assuming
Brady probably eats things that do not cause
he doesn't fart.
Bloat.
Yeah. No, I think
he doesn't go number 2.
Oh, he's like a lady. in that sense.
Sure.
You couldn't even imagine it.
No.
Yeah, maybe Brady's that perfect.
That's funny because Tom Brady was like known as like a guy's guy in the locker room throughout his NFL career, like chugging beer.
No, you gotta-
until he got crazy at the end.
You gotta have good gut health. I think athletes really take that stuff seriously. So I think they're probably
Once you get past the age of 36.
I just think they're probably the ones who would be the number one culprits.
Tom Brady probably got his first dose of heartburn and said, never again, buddy. Never again.
Bogish is here with headlines. I think this is a big deal, and Isaiah Thomas basically became the face of plane farters yesterday.
From 32 points, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, and undetermined farts to just 8 points and 6 helpers, Tyrese Halliburton was far from the best player on the floor last night in Game 5 at the Garden. His Pacers losing 111-94, missing their first chance to close out the Knicks. But don't worry, Indy.
I got to be better, and I'll be better in Game 6. But I watched the film and learn from it like I always try to do, and be prepared for Game 6.
And that Game 6 in Indy tomorrow night. The Pacers had won 6 straight road games this postseason, including the first 2 in New York in this series. The Knicks finally protecting home court behind 32 points from Jalen Brunson, 24 and 13 rebounds from Karl Anthony Towns. Brunson really enjoyed their most complete effort of this series.
We came out and
Me too.
had some energy in the way we played, and I was very proud of what we did. We just got to replicate it in the first quarter of the next game, and then continue to build on that.
The Knick franchise has never recovered from a 3-1 series hole. Only 13 teams have done it in NBA history. Again, Game 6 in Indy tomorrow night.
Shame you're not coaching playing against Doc Rivers' team. That
Yeah,
would
how
have
many
helped your
times?
chances.
How many times does that happen?
I thought it happened to Doc like 3 different times.
I think I saw 7.
Oh,
I don't know why I
that
saw 7
much?
was a number. It's not a lot.
For Doc?
Oh, no, I think you meant overall. I think Madison Perloff has, right? How many times the team?
No, how many times does Doc?
Did Doc Rivers
I think it's at least 3.
I thought it was 3. I think 2 with the Clippers alone, no?
And, Bugs, what was the number you had there?
It's only
13.
It's only 13 times.
And I think 3 out of 13 are Doc Rivers.
Yeah, he definitely has at least 2. Orlando has 1, and he has 1 with the Clippers, and he might have a second one with the Clippers. I'm trying to remember.
I don't know if Carlisle has one.
I don't think Carlisle does.
I'd be shocked.
He's a very good coach.
And what was his spin? That he's just really good at getting the 3-1 lead?
He's not getting any credit for getting out to that 3-1 lead.
Yeah, he should get credit for winning 3 games. It's hard to win 3 games in the playoffs.
It's kind of like
and the spin doctor was born.
It's kind of like a reverse gentleman's sweep. The Oilers gave Game 1 to the Stars, then reeled off 4 straight wins.
One final face-off. The Stars have been beaten. Petrovic flips the puck toward his own bench and goes over to console Casey DeSmith. The Edmonton Oilers pour onto the ice. They are the Western Conference champions for the 2nd year in a row. It's Edmonton and Florida in the Stanley Cup final.
Jack Michaels, Oilers Radio. Edmonton a 6-3 clincher in Game 5 in Dallas. And yes, we're getting a Stanley Cup final rematch. Game 1 of Part 2 of Oilers-Panthers is next Wednesday night in Edmonton, which is also not where Triple H is from. In Washington, the Capitals.
I didn't know he was from Nashua. Isn't that also where Sandler's from?
No, I think Sandler's from Manchester.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if they're actually right next to each other.
No, I think he's from Manchester. Yes.
Yeah, I got my New
because
Hampshire.
Sandler, Sarah Silverman, and Chip Kelly all grew up on the same block, and I think they're babysitted for each other.
We have a Chip Kelly story for you later on in the show. Back to you, Bogues.
In Washington, the Capitals clarifying that next season is not yet Alex Ovechkin's last in the NHL. Ovi has not made a decision past the 25-26 campaign, we're told. But yesterday, a Caps corporate sales staffer apparently accidentally emailed season ticket holders that next season would be the end of Ovi's NHL career, so buy your tickets now.
They accidentally, as I do air quotes with my fingers.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a mistake.
As they were trying to get hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars from fans.
A little baseball history last night in Philadelphia.
And the lefty cuts it loose. Got him swinging for strike 3. And it's career strikeout number 2,500 for Chris Sale. He is the 40th man in Major League history to reach that plateau.
Ben Ingram, Braves Radio. Not only is Chris Sale just the 40th pitcher with 2,500 career Ks,
Nice
he's
numbers.
the fastest to get there in 2,026 innings. 6 shutout for him last night. Atlanta won 9-3 to split 2 with those Phillies.
Is he a Hall of Famer, Chris Sale?
Ooh.
He's a psycho.
Good question.
I mean,
no.
In fact, I saw that stat. I was like, wow, that's like a Hall of Fame stat.
World Series champion.
Nobody throws a funkier pitch than that dude, too. If that counts for anything.
Did he win a World Series, Chris Sale?
No, sorry. No, he did not.
Maybe, do you guys remember when he took a pair of scissors
yeah.
to his own teammates' jerseys?
Yeah, the throwback jerseys, those sick throwback jerseys that the White Sox used to don.
Can you imagine what
I think he did win.
Yeah, 2018, sorry.
He might.
Yeah, now I'm looking at this. He might.
Multiple Cy Youngs, right?
Only one, ironically, which even though he finished like second a bunch.
All right, one Cy Young, 25.
8-time All-Star.
But he could win a Cy Young this year.
In an era where there are not huge strikeout numbers for a career, like he could easily do this.
And he's getting old, too. What is he, 37, 38 years old now?
Why do I just feel
36?
like when I think of like dominant pitchers of the generation of the era, I don't know. Like, it's not that he wasn't. He was. It's just I don't think about him.
Well, who's getting in? Verlander, Scherzer of his contemporaries.
Yeah,
they're
Kershaw,
getting in. And Kershaw, obviously, yeah.
Cole, question mark?
And Garrett Cole, he's on a Hall of Fame track. We'll see.
I've always pushed for DeGrom, and I still will.
I know, it's just his peak. He needs a second peak.
Yeah, he had a hell of a peak, but it ended so quickly.
I think
I think that many pitchers could get in the Hall of Fame for an era. Like we're still at a very modest number. I think all those guys we just talked about could get it.
No, I mean, DeGrom was Rookie of the Year and then went on to win, 2 Cy Youngs, and
he was so good.
He's amazing. I think he might need a second little run to put him over the top.
Yeah, I guess. I know, but I don't know. I just feel like the first 7 years of his career, I feel like are Hall of Fame. That's Hall of Fame career.
I know, but if you're going up against Verlander and Kershaw, that's...
I got you.
Good luck.
Drunkle Sam in our chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Having a little trouble with Twitter live right now.
Yeah.
Blame Elon. We'll get back up to it in a moment. He said, my wife used to fart in her sleep, and I never told her.
Oh, is he talking about Goodwill Hunting, or is he talking about his own life?
He's saying his own life. I think that's smart. I would keep that to yourself. There's no need.
Feels like he might have stolen that from the movie. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm sorry, Drunkle Sam.
Okay, well, also,
how does she fix that? She's unconscious.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. You don't have. You're gonna be self-conscious about something.
Did you take your nightly Pepto-Bismol?
Daly also said my ex-girlfriend farted in her sleep, but apparently she was pretty overweight.
I'm confident that all of us do this in our
That's
sleep.
what he said.
Really?
Yes.
And Are you a light sleeper though? Would it wake you up?
No, I mean, I think that's why you feel like it's unique, but it's not, because we probably are all ripping farts all night, and you're not waking up your partner or yourself, so you're not noticing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do. Andrea bothers me anytime it happens.
She tells you about
it.
She makes a huge deal about it, yeah.
We had a dog who did that, by the way. You guys ever had it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dog is insane.
Dogs go nuts.
So my kid has a science book that has like fun facts in it, and one is that every single person farts enough in a 24-hour day to fill a balloon.
Nice.
Yeah, I do.
Manny could get you ready for a Sweet 16.
I can attest to that.
Don't need
That's
to
not
fill
helium.
Don't need to fill the gym, Manny.
How about hot air balloon? You just fly over Sweden.
Manny's taking a scenic look of the Hudson River.
Got your balloons for your quinceañera, y'all.
And let's look at the Goodyear blimp. Oh, no, it's just Manny firing it up there.
What does your voice sound like after you suck a fart balloon instead of the helium?
Ugh.
Go ahead, Manny.
Buenas tardes.
That'd be great if we all just got these beautiful, dark, deep, Spanish accents.
Oh, the opposite of like a helium?
Right.
Like Mickey Mouse?
Like a Mexican Mickey Mouse. A reverse Mexican Mickey Mouse.
Is there such thing? Does Mexico have a version of Mickey Mouse? Just Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
We got a mustache.
We have Bob Esponja. We have SpongeBob. Bob Esponja. I've watched SpongeBob in Spanish. That is comedy.
SpongeBob's very clever. 888-710-4ISN. 888-710.
Bob Esponja.
A lot of bubbles in that show.
Oh, big time.
Never explain them.
Boobless.
888-710-4476. Okay. We mentioned this. A little surprising. Some Super Bowl odds came out, and at least one team I was very shocked to see at the top of the list.
Go Birds!
Near the top. Get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie Perloff Show. Music courtesy of Kid Cudi from Cleveland, Ohio. We'll be doing the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff at the top of the hour. Today, the city is Cleveland, the 4 sports gods from the city of Cleveland. Yesterday, we did Detroit. Wednesday was New York. And Monday will be Dallas, Texas. But Perloff, we want to pause for a second because it's always a little bit interesting when ESPN puts out their NFL football power index, right? Which is basically like a power ranking, if you will. A lot of things go into it. A lot of data goes into it. And they try to project who's most likely to make the Super Bowl. Now, you found one team you thought was weighted way too low.
Yes. So the author, Seth Waller, the finest British NFL writer in the world, using numbers had the 49ers at 11, which makes sense because they were bad last year. But this is a projection, right? This is about this year. So some of the teams ahead of the 49ers were the Rams. I get that. They're 10. The Chargers at 9, I'm dubious. Packers at 8, I'm dubious. Bengals at 7, I'm incredibly dubious. Where is the defense coming from? And then the Commanders at 6. He's already putting the Commanders 5 spots ahead of the 49ers. So I guess I'm looking at the 49ers as like, I'm assuming all those guys come back and healthy. If all those guys are there, all the stars that we know come back and play this year, Christian McCaffrey on down, how are the 49ers the 11th best team in the league?
Well, it's funny because they also do bring in strength of schedule, of which the 49ers are going to enjoy the easiest schedule in the NFL on paper next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doesn't that jump out to you? Were you a little surprised at that?
I was, but that was not the biggest surprise to me.
Okay, yeah. What jumped out to you?
The biggest surprise to me, and you just touched on it, was the Commanders being that high. So I get it. Great rookie season from Jaden Daniels. He's the rookie of the year. Dan Quinn's got his finger on the pulse. Adam Peters, the GM, they've just done a total remodel of this franchise. But I'll just mention one thing about the Washington Commanders. They did not get any younger this offseason. In fact, they are remaining a pretty veteran squad. And they added some older pieces to it, like Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil. And they're going to be asking these guys to be major contributors. And it's a really fine line between veteran and old. And they were able to do that to a T last year, and it was a fantastic combination. But it's not like they have all these young guys coming through either. They only had 3 picks in the top 200 of this draft. So it's not going to be like, oh, we got this youth movement now. And, I get a little worried when you're that reliant on older guys. Like, we're talking not just like 30 into their 30s. That could be tough.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, they seem to have a secret weapon. Their GM, Adam Peters, he might already be former Niners guy, might be one of the best in the league. I just know because there's a behind-the-scenes video of him making his first-round pick, and Howie Roseman's like, whoa, that's a good pick. I'll tell you one more that jumped out to me. How are the Atlanta Falcons 26? They are between, just to give you some context, they're 1 spot ahead of the Giants and 1 spot behind the New England Patriots. This is an Atlanta team that was 8-9 last year, and Michael Penix is taking over as a second-year quarterback. They are bottom 7 team. I mean, in that division, how is that possible?
Why are you? What's exciting about the Falcons?
Nothing exciting.
Okay.
They were 500 last year, and they have a lot of young talent in that building. Like they're around teams that won 3 games last year.
If Penix looks really good,
they're 2 spots below the Las Vegas Raiders. What? They are a much better team. I think the Atlanta is probably going to be 9-8, 8-9 next year. At least, maybe even better.
Yeah, but
that's their win total too. Like Vegas thinks the same thing. This is way off from Vegas.
Man, I don't know. I had actually, if you were asking me, who do I think would have a better year, like surprising people, maybe exceeding some expectations, I think the Giants actually have a better chance. And that's it's not just because you're seeing good stuff about Jackson Dart or whatever. They might go to him pretty early on. They're going to have this downfield passing attack. They have good pass rushers. Now, the secondary, I don't know, but they have good pass rushers. They should be able to get to the quarterback. Tough division. That's where Atlanta, of course, has a beat. The division is going to be way easier for the NFC South than the NFC East, obviously.
Well, I'm a big Penix fan. Cut that, please, Manny.
Perloff loves Penix.
I'm a huge Penix fan. Mm-hmm. Okay. But listen, there's obviously way more talent in Atlanta than in New York. I mean, just talent-wise. I think people don't love the coach, I guess, but I mean, they've been drafting a lot of defensive guys. You have Bijan Robinson. There's no way they should be in this neighborhood to me. They should. I'm not saying they're a playoff team necessarily, but last year I picked them to win the division. Everybody else did too. Like
No, I
they
picked the
should
Bucks.
finally but they should finally. They were the popular pick last year. They should ascend. They have veterans on their O-line. They should not be with 2 spots below the Raiders. So anyway, I'm going to now watch the Falcons closely.
888-710-4ISN. All right, coming up next, the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods. Today, City of Cleveland. Who makes the cut? And then Pete.
Cleveland! This is for you!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Born in the summer of '94, Zach came to play. From Philly to the airwaves, making noise every day. Temple's proud on whip, sports director in the booth, and turning '94 whip, where he sharpened up his truth. From the Jersey air on Fox Sports 90/20 to Eagles post games, making Mondays funny. Late nights on CBS, the Mad Dog in the mix. Now he's primetime 3 to 6. From the Jersey air on Fox Sports 90/30 to Eagles post games, making Mondays funny. Late nights on CBS and Mad Dog in the mix. Now he's primetime 3 to 6. Oh, Zach jumps on the air, turn the dial up. Last one stop legend in the making Daddy Bob proud. CBS Sports Radio every afternoon. Zach's got the taste that'll make you swoon. They say 2 a.m.'s for sleepers, but Zach changed the rule. National spotlight, just a kid out of school. Then he jumped to Sirius, NFL, and Mad Dog shows. CBS calling back, primetime flows. Now he's breaking news, taking calls on the fly. From touchdowns to trades, he's the sports talk guy. From Philly roots to national clout, Cubs the host we can't live without. Uncle Sam stumbled into work at night, smelling like a whiskey, cheap boxed wine. Tried to flirt with Lisa from accounting again, but HR warned him that's strike number 10. Oh Sam, you gotta read the room. You ain't Casanova, you're just full of booms. Where the hell is Peter Polite? Did he call in sick or win the damn lottery? Nobody's seen him since 2:15. Was it a long night or a rendezvous? Oh, Bellotti, did you ghost us for good? Or are you just stuck in your neighborhood? Sam sent an email, slurred every word. Called the boss, baby man, that's absurd. Tried to high five, but he missed by a mile. Knocked over the coffee, still flashing a smile. Then he said, I may get too familiar too soon. I had told my HR in writing, yeah, that's getting old. Where the hell is Peter Polite? Was he trapped in traffic?
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Knicks keep the series alive. We will get a Game 6 in Indianapolis on Saturday night. Pat McAfee dust off the microphone, cut another promo. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun celebrities in the building, and we'll see if the Knicks can actually push this to a Game 7. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. They would be the 14th team, Pearl, in NBA history to come back from 3-1. If they win this series, it would certainly be something. And I thought the Pacers really just came out pretty flat last night.
Definitely.
Waved the white flag pretty early, considering all the comebacks they've had in these playoffs, not just in the Knicks series, but even in the Cavs series before this.
Stay alive!
I think that they just kind of wrapped it up. I'm not saying they mailed it in necessarily, but the Knicks were clearly the more aggressive and intense team last night.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that this is so interesting is because the Knicks are arguably a more talented team. They should have won Game 1, and then it'd be a completely different series. Cat's worlds better than Miles Turner. And Jalen Brunson they really haven't figured out Jalen Brunson. And moments they have, other moments they haven't. So obviously the key is take advantage of those two guys when they're on defense. That's the game, right? It's a give and take. To me, the whole thing comes down to Tyrese Haliburton in Game 6. Knicks put a lot of extra defensive pressure on him, as I advised them to. They blitz the dude. Mm-hmm. Will they keep doing that? And can the Pacers, if they do, are there other answers? And I'm not so sure. So it reminds me so much of our conversation all week about Anthony Edwards. When the entire defense is oriented around you, do you make the right play and pass it, or do you have to be more aggressive? And that's what we're going to see with Haliburton.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. If you want to weigh in on the Knicks and Pacers, our question to you, did the Knicks find something last night, or is this just a kind of flop of a game, really, from Indiana? Haliburton, again, the defense from Mikal Bridges on Haliburton. I don't want to just say it was all just Haliburton having an off night. There was, as you mentioned, lots of pressure on him. And we'll see if the Knicks can ride this wave now. Feels like the momentum may be back in their corner.
Let's go, Knicks!
All right, let's get to it. We've been started this project earlier this week. We're going to continue it. It's called the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff.
It's time to feast your ears on Maggie and Perloff's Mount Olympus.
Today, Cleveland rocks, everybody.
Cleveland!
The four sports gods from the city of Cleveland. Perloff, I will hand this off to you first.
There is have you guys ever seen the We Are Cleveland mock video? It's the greatest. It was about 8 years ago. It was this internet video.
Come on down to Cleveland Town?
Come on down to Cleveland Town, fake promotional video. They have a line in there that our entire economy depends on LeBron James.
Yeah.
So it's one of the funniest lines you'll ever see. And then they show a video of the LeBron James mural. LeBron James is, for me, the easiest one to put on this list. Obviously from Akron. Brought one of the most significant titles I've ever seen is him coming back to Cleveland, coming back in a series to lead the Cavs past the Warriors. So LeBron's an easy spot.
And I want my damn respect too.
The number 2 is Jim Brown. I maybe the greatest football player ever. Definitely great argument, the greatest running back ever. I was looking at his stats, Maggie, and I found a fun one.
Okay.
He led the league in rushing every year in his career except once. So I'm like, who outrushed Jim Brown? Care to take a guess?
No.
Yeah, it is. For some reason, Jim Taylor outrushed him 1 year, and every other year in his career, he led the league in rushing. His numbers are insane. He left early to go do movies and maybe cut it short a little bit. So Jim Brown's an easy one. I can't imagine anyone thinking of Cleveland Browns football without him. Okay, now it gets tricky. This is where the rubber hits the road, Maggie. I know you hit the same issue.
Yep.
There are a lot of choices, but one of the big debates for our Mount Olympus, do you go old school or new school? I went as old school as possible. Let's play that Otto Graham highlight, Manny.
Oh, my gosh.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't need Otto Graham goes back to pass.
I was like, what?
Manny looked at the computer. I was like, get out of here. You have an Otto Graham highlight.
Otto Graham goes back to pass. That is a forward pass. We just invented it. Otto Graham. He is
Peyton Manning loves Otto Graham. He talks about him all the time.
Yeah, Otto Graham. Did he win 4 Super Bowls in a row? Listen, the Browns are synonymous with
Super Bowls.
Championships.
Championships, yeah.
They are synonymous with failure. And you always hear They have not won since Otto Graham left the building. 3-time NFL champion.
Woof, woof.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't go wrong with a little Otto Graham. And then, okay, my fourth choice, again, old
Your
school.
word against nobody's. Nobody's still alive who watched him play.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Wait. Yeah, but I mean, we know Babe Ruth was good.
Okay.
It doesn't mean. Okay. Bob Feller. To me, the most famous Cleveland baseball player of all time. He's one of those guys. He's in the mix with like Stan Musial and DiMaggio, like famous guys from the 50s. So had to do some research. He is really cool because he was the first player to leave to go into the war, World War II. Right after Pearl Harbor, immediately enlisted. And he was on a ship called the USS Alabama. Every major battle in the Pacific, he was right outside there on the ship, put his life in danger for several years and interrupted his career, which was a thing for many players, Yogi Berra, Ted Williams famously. But Feller was, I think, according to this, the first to volunteer, had this incredibly huge life, was an 8-time All-Star World Series champion, incredible pitcher, but also an incredible life, and kind of one of those iconic 50s players. Listen, do I know a ton about him? No, but I heard he's a good feller.
You were waiting on that one.
Yeah, no, that was what I was researching. This incredible life, and definitely for me, I wanted to put a baseball player on here, and he in that particular organization, which also has had a lot of tough times. Obviously, a famous drought. We're talking about the year of the drought buster. The Cleveland baseball franchise has that, so I'm going with Bob Feller for my 4th spot.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
I was also looking at Bob Feller. We're doing the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods from every sports city. Today we're doing Cleveland.
Going on in Cleveland, man.
Some of the Bob Feller stats are eye-popping. Imagine you throw 371 innings in a regular season, and your ERA is a 2.18.
What?
Manny didn't even know that guys threw over 220 innings, probably.
300 innings?
Dude, the next year he was 28 years old. He threw 299 innings, and his ERA was a 2.68.
Ew.
This is
lot
insane.
of innings. That's a lot of innings and very little earned runs.
Crazy. And as Perloff said, and before that, 343 innings with a 3.15, 320 innings with a 2.61. It's insane.
By the way, he has an interesting little tidbit, too. He faced Jackie Robinson. He would barnstorm. And he was actually, in a good way, he would barnstorm against the Negro League and face all those guys. He said, I don't think Jackie Robinson's going to be that good. He's too muscular to get his bat around.
Prediction sure to go wrong.
But he was actually a big proponent of getting Negro League players into baseball. A huge part of that. He was the first Players Union president as well. But he was a little bit wrong. But I get that. Like some guys are too muscular. Happened to be a little wrong on Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, like Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I was thinking of another famous Cleveland athlete. Brady Quinn was too muscular to play quarterback. I had always heard of that. And when you were playing, by the way, when I came up many, many years ago in the hard courts of Lower Merion, Pennsylvania, you didn't want to lift weights too much as a basketball player because you thought it would mess up your jump shot.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that might be true, by the way. You don't see a lot of super muscular, great jump shooters. Like bodybuilder types. Doesn't happen.
Nope.
No, you're right. Okay,
That's why EJ and I look like we do.
It's all by design.
Well said, my friend. Well said.
Good job. Everyone's playing checkers. You guys are playing chess by not lifting weights.
It's all factories.
We are doing the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods of every great city. Today is Cleveland. All right.
You like it? You think Cleveland's cool? I mean, I never heard anybody say I'm going to Cleveland on vacation.
Well, today it's all about Cleveland.
What's so good about Cleveland?
I'm going to agree with 2 of yours there. It's kind of easy. Obviously, LeBron James, not just the nearby Akron, the homegrown guy, goes and saves the franchise, leaves in a horrible way that turns everyone off, but then comes back for the full redemption story of, leading Cleveland to the title. And he had 5 finals appearances, including 4 in a row just for the Cavs. And LeBron is number 1, I think, of these sports gods. I also have Jim Brown on there because you can't tell the story of Cleveland sports without Jim Brown. In my opinion, he's one of those guys that even though he played a long time ago in the pre-Super Bowl era, his aura and infamy and reputation, everything cut through any era. He's someone you learn about whether you're 10 years old as a sports fan. And obviously is so much more, too, with good and bad, the civil rights movement, also, things about domestic violence, well, all that stuff. But as far as sports is concerned, he is a sports god in Cleveland. Now, where you and I disagree, I did not go with Bob Feller, although, as we said, the stats are eye-popping. I went with Jim Thome. Jim Thome spent 13 seasons in Cleveland. Jim Thome, who... of his 511 home runs, hit 337 of them in Cleveland. And where I really want to give the benefit of the doubt to Thome here is he, and you could call me a sucker, never once, not even a sniff to steroids, playing in that era. Same as like Ken Griffey Jr.
Farm strong, baby. Steak and eggs for breakfast.
Just said he never wanted to, never dabbled, never did it. And I believe him. And
well, you're an idiot.
Well, I mean, do you believe Ken Griffey Jr.?
I'm a little strong there.
That was the wrong word, but that was what I always laughed at. When Thome would like lay out his breakfast diet, I'm like, come on, dude. But
sorry, 612 home runs. I shortchanged him a couple.
No, sorry, but you would call me that if I would call people not Peters. You're cynical. Don't you think everybody did them?
Given Jim Thome, who's awesome, hit 612 home runs. Apologies, Jim. I was looking at your American League homers. 337 of them in Cleveland.
Also, when he hit a home run, too, wasn't it? It's so awesome to watch. Like, those were bombs.
Yeah. In an era of home run hitters, he even stood out in a way that made Cleveland just, it was must-see. It was box office.
He had a cool swing.
Very cool.
He like swinging like his foot would like come across the plate almost.
He kind of like wound it. Yeah. By the way, I love that choice.
My final choice is going to be a little outside the box for everybody. But I stand by this. And I think he belongs as a sports god in the city of Cleveland. And that's Bernie Kosar.
Oh, yeah, he's a big deal in Cleveland.
And here's the thing about Kosar. Like LeBron from there, from Cleveland, from the area, Boardman, Ohio. And people don't remember this maybe, but Bernie Kosar actually manipulated the supplemental draft to go to Cleveland to be the Browns quarterback. Do you realize how crazy that sounds? He wanted the smoke. He wanted to be the hometown hero. LeBron happened by chance, or maybe the draft is rigged. I don't know. You be the judge. Kosar wanted it. And if you look at the history of Cleveland Browns quarterbacks, Perloff, it is bleak. Kosar 3 times going to the playoffs, which again is like, that's basically Lombardi's for that city.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Kosar, still a legend, still very involved in the scene. I think Bernie Kosar rises to the level of sports god in the city of Cleveland. He's my final pick.
Made an appearance in the movie Draft Day.
Is that right?
I believe, yeah, because he's royalty there. You're exactly right. I mean, he's a bit controversial. He's had some incidents.
Well,
no doubt about that.
So is everybody.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach to sports god by popularity. Like certain athletes, even if they weren't the greatest player, just stick around the city and become a big deal. I think being an announcer helped him.
There's also a shorthand sometimes with Cleveland, like when guys get traded there and stuff like that you're being punished, right? Like, we'll trade you to Cleveland or something like that. Bernie Kosar wanted to be in Cleveland. Yeah. And so I think that goes a long way with the fan base. So there you go. So the Mount Olympus of Cleveland athletes all time. Again, Perloff and I both have LeBron James and Jim Brown. And you went with?
Otto Graham and Bob Feller.
And I went with Jim Thome and Bernie Kosar. So who had the better Mount Olympus? The 4 sports gods. Cleveland, Ohio. I don't think he's talking about Cleveland.
Thome, Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Cleveland, because they're idiots.
All these sound bites come back to bite us. Man, he's got them all.
By the way, Jim Thome hit 100 of those home runs in the city of Philadelphia.
Well, everyone hits home runs there. It's easy.
Well,
Stadiumsville, Little League Stadium.
I could hit a home run at Citizen Park.
He was pretty awesome.
Was there someone else? Was there anyone else there that crossed your mind?
Oh, so Paul Brown.
Yep.
The thing is, he kind of left for Cincinnati. That was a close one because that was the best part of the Browns. The movie Major League, I wanted to find Ricky Vaughn. Yeah. I just wanted to mention, give him a shout out.
I think Jake Taylor actually would have been more on the Mount Rushmore, or the Mount Olympus, pardon me.
I don't know. He's more of a journeyman, let's be honest about Jake Taylor.
Oh, when he went down to the Mexican League?
Skill level.
What's so bad about the Mexican League?
Honestly, it would really be Roger Dorn because he was a multi-time All-Star.
High priced.
Who else did I look at? I thought I swear to God, I thought when you were teasing against the grain, I thought you might go The Miz.
It is. For WWE in the real world?
Yeah, just because he is, I think he's like a super Cleveland sports fan, right?
No going on
in Cleveland now. Yeah.
Well, if we didn't put Spike Lee in New York, I don't know if any super fans are making
but
it
at
on
least
these Mount Olympus.
he's a wrestler.
He's
so.
an athlete, yeah.
Yeah.
I do think there will be some wrestlers that have cases for certain cities.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and he's telling. I mean, of all the pro wrestlers, I feel like he is really associated with the city.
Definitely. I mean,
Seth Rollins in Chicago.
Honestly, so is now Logan Paul.
Well, but Seth Rollins is from Iowa, though. So
I think Stipe Miocic is also from Cleveland.
I thought about Stipe. Miocic, who, what a story.
What a heavyweight, too.
Heavyweight UFC, but also was an emergency paramedic, right? An EMT in Cleveland, literally saving people's lives in the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, and then goes on to become this great champion and has represented himself really well, too, as a champion. Stipe seems like a good dude.
Did you think about Ohio State as, I mean, it's Columbus, but we're not doing Columbus, so.
Well, listen, if this really takes off and people want to start suggesting more cities.
Well, Columbus is tough, though, because they only have one professional team.
That's the Blue Jackets.
No, you got the hockey.
Professional
team and Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, it's funny you said that. Yeah, of course you have two. You have Ohio State football.
Don't forget the Columbus Crew, y'all. Don't forget the Columbus Crew.
Yeah, because then you could have gotten Jesse Owens into this conversation, too. And I think he has like pretty deep ties to Cleveland in some sense because of that.
Would you have to go with Archie Griffin? Well, now we're doing Cleveland or Columbus. Today we're doing Cleveland. It's all about Cleveland today, the Mount Olympus of Cleveland.
What's so good about Cleveland?
Let's go to Mike, who's in Syracuse, with one that I actually did look at. Mike, who is on the Mount Olympus of Cleveland sports figures?
Well, you have to sort of look at Mount Olympus. And they had some pretty nasty people there. Zeus, I think, used to eat his own children. So that being said,
metaphor.
I almost want to say you can't tell the story of Cleveland sports without one Art Modell.
Yeah.
What a villain, though, right?
You did Steinbrenner, Maggie. That one would fit.
Yeah, but Steinbrenner didn't move the team.
Oh, I would have ended him.
But Art Modell was
just
impactful.
Another little shout out. Another little shout out. Larry Doby. Larry Doby broke the color barrier in the American League.
No doubt.
You gotta give him a little reference.
Mike, thank you for that. Keep us honest here. Make sure no stone left unturned. Larry Doby aside for a second. Let's go back to Art Modell. No disrespect to Larry. Let's go back to Modell because he had the Browns franchise, but then infamously moved them to Baltimore. People hated Art Modell, Pearl. Does he belong on the Mount Olympus?
Well, I don't put villains. No, of course not. I mean, I think you should have an anti-Mount Olympus too that points into the bottom for infamous, like an infamous Mount Olympus. Art Modell. First of all, Cleveland would have a good one for that.
Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan. Well, I think it has to be Cleveland.
Steph Curry.
Craig Elo, because he got the shot.
Everybody on the New York Yankees.
Who was it with the big fumble against the Broncos? Was it Biner or Mack? I couldn't remember which one. Yeah. So they could have Cleveland was a good city for an infamous Mount Olympus. Well, and Modell would be the king of that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to.
And the Cavs. I mean, geez, I don't even know where you start with the Cavs.
Oh, you know who you guys missed? The midges that attacked Jabba Chamberlain in that one game in Cleveland at Progressive Field or Jacobs Field back then.
Yeah, that was memorable.
Still get squirmish even think about that.
888
I have nightmares thinking about that game.
For ISN.
Did anybody, by the way, know what would have really made me mad? If you'd put Kyrie on there. Maybe it's the anti-Kyrie sentiment, but...
He asked for a trade.
I was just looking at...
that was why you couldn't put him on.
Also, too, he was there when LeBron won the title. Kyrie does not win that title without LeBron.
LeBron does not win that title without Kyrie.
Yeah. Oh, they needed it.
I don't know. LeBron won some titles without Kyrie in his life.
I'm saying that one.
But that sidestep...
That one, but it could have been a lot of other stars could have been there.
Who make that shot? Who scored 41 in Game 5 on the road?
Richard Jefferson ain't making that shot. Iman Shumpert ain't making that shot.
Matthew
Dellavedova. Dwayne Wade is.
So you need Dwayne Wade? I don't know.
I think Dwayne Wade actually takes that drives to the hoop.
Yeah, I'm like, that a flex? I don't know.
Well,
that's Kyrie. That's
I thought you were a LeBronist, EJ.
A LeBronist?
A LeBron.
Over Jordan. No?
No.
LeBronite?
Not even close.
Oh, my God. I did not know this after all these years.
Me and you've been on the same team on this since this show started.
Perloff's not listening.
Well, I know.
But you typically side with Maggie, so I thought you were on Team LeBron.
No way. I'm always older NBA. You know that.
Yeah.
It's your dad's influence.
EJ is just is just
surrounded by old farts.
EJ is just always very defensive about the older guys in the NBA criticizing today's NBA. I think that's what you're getting.
Yeah, that is crap. Yeah, I hate that. But But the older guys also, they deserve their respect. Just like I was trying to give you, he's not an older guy, but I was talking about Jeff Teague off the air yesterday. And I was like, Jeff Teague deserves some respect. In Wake Forest, he was a good player. I love giving respect to the older guys. Jordan always over LeBron. That's easy.
He has a good podcast, that Teague guy.
Okay, let's keep this on Cleveland, guys. We're talking about Cleveland. Cleveland, Mount Olympus. We'll do it.
By the way, it's fitting that Jordan would take over the conversation about Cleveland
I know.
sports.
We can't get through a segment without talking about him. Anyway, but Cleveland, obviously, LeBron James clearly on the Mount Olympus for sports gods in Cleveland. Jim Brown, Perloff, and I both went with again. Yeah. I went with Jim Tomey and Bertie Kosar, and Perloff went with Otto Graham and Bob Feller.
Derek Anderson, Tim Couch didn't make the cut.
Did not make the cut.
Dang it. What about Brady Quinn?
No Charlie Fry.
Brandon Whedon.
Alonzo G.
Remember they were excited. Was it Deshaun Kaiser was there, and there was some hype for about 3 preseason games?
Yeah. Notre Dame legend.
I was thinking about the other terrible Cavs, like Darius Miles.
Oh.
Like
I think of him as a Clipper.
Ricky Davis.
I think of Darius.
Also a Clipper.
Darius Miles. You can't bring a high schooler and he's just going to change the trajectory of a franchise. Darius, you were wrong, bro.
Ricky Davis deserves to be on just for the greatest quote of all time, which is I thought they brought LeBron here to help me score. Maybe the greatest, most delusional
Wait, sorry, who
quote.
said Ricky Davis?
Ricky Davis, the most delusional quote in the history of sports.
Yeah, believable.
Characters, though, J.R. Smith is
Oh, yeah.
sans shirt in the Mount Olympus.
The Cavs have had characters.
Definitely.
World Be Free was like a 30-point scorer for them.
The carcass of Dwayne Wade.
Mr. Kardashian.
Yes, Chris Humphries.
Mr. Kardashian.
No, they're both Mr. Kardashians.
Oh, yeah.
Tristan Thompson.
Tristan
Thompson, that's right.
Yeah. Was Chris Humphries a Cav?
I think he was at one point.
I thought he was a T-Wolf.
Well, Tristan Thompson's been in a Cav for 15 years now. It's incredible.
He's not still there, is he?
I think
they brought him back.
He is.
Yeah.
They brought him back.
We just saw him.
Yeah, I did see. I was like, did I see that guy recently? That's awesome.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. What do we get right? What do we get wrong about our Mount Olympus of Cleveland sports gods? Coming up, Nate Zegura is going to join us. Nathan from Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Also coming up later, we will get to Caleb Williams not dodging anything. All those quotes that he and his dad gave to Seth Wickersham about being apprehensive about playing for the Bears. Yep, all true, all happened. He owned it, but doesn't mean now that everything's behind them in Chicago. No more drama. Not so sure. 888-710-4ISN.
Cleveland! This is for you!
You're in a 5-minute break.
Bad, took the wrong quote, now the whole squad's mad. Drag Maggie's name through the dirt so quick when it was Perloff talking all that spit. Now Steelers Nation's got torches lit, thinking Maggie's lost her wit. But y'all don't fact check for a bit, so let's talk about who's really full of Steelers Depot, get your facts in check. Blame the wrong one, man, show some respect. Perloff said it, but Maggie gets wrecked. Now your credibility's looking suspect. Lifetime contract, yeah, Perloff's take. The Depot's rushing just to make clickbait. Didn't even bother to hit replay. Now Maggie's out here fighting the hate. Now Twitter's wild like she's on crack. Just cause Depot ain't watched the track. Y'all spread a lie, now it won't go back. Hope y'all enjoyed that cloud contract. Where's Bellotti, or still MIA? Calls it a job, but he don't stay. I did it, in the game for 30. Andrew Perloff loves his turtle, call it chill shot bliss. He feeds it kale and lettuce, then gives it a little kiss. Andrew Fogler's his turtles, got a mansion in the tank with a slide, a tiny hammock, and a treasure chest bank. 2 So Tony rolls in, his turtles got swag. Cruising slow but steady, repping that reptile flag. Meanwhile, Kevin LaMelle's got tacos on his plate. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he's got no time to wait. Turtle love, taco dreams, Andrew living supreme. Two-ton Tony, slow and steady crew. Kevin's got breakfast tacos, what's Peter gonna do? Yo, Perloff's turtles chillin', basking in the heat. Focus's turtles flexing, got gold chains on its feet. Tony's turtles on TikTok, racking up views, while Kevin's tacos sizzle, serving up the news. But Pilates MIA, not a damn thing new. Work? Nah, he'd rather just hit snooze. We're out here hustling, making turtles the stars, and Pete's just ghosting like he's hanging on Mars. Turtle love, taco dreams, Andrew living supreme.
$8.95, hitting up the show. Maggie and Perloff dropping takes that glow. In the chat, Stunner Filmo runs the scene, spitting fire so hot it makes the snow seem mean. Down in Louisiana, Uncle Sam's lit. Rare snow on the ground, but he don't give a shit. Snow in the south, man, what the fuck's this? While Pilates goes to work, he's always dismissed. Stunner Filmo dropping shit like whoa. Uncle Sam's buzz, snow on the floor. Daily says time to bust the plow now. While Pilates at home, chillin' somehow. Filmo spittin' truth, he's the chat's big hitter. Drunkle Sam's slipping whiskey in his glitter. Maggie's crushing staff, Perloff's got the flow. And Pilates, he's like, work? Hell no. Daly's cracking jokes, where's that one plow? Louisiana snow, it's rare as Pete somehow. Stunner's calling out, Sam's laughing out loud. Pilates excuses, bury them in a snowbound cloud. Stunner Filmo dropping shit like whoa. Drunkle Sam's buzz, snow on the floor. Daly says time to bust the plow now. While Pilates at home, chillin' somehow. Filmo in the chat, Sam's sloshing his drink. Daly's plowing snow, making Pete rethink. Snow in Louisiana, Pilates on the run. Both are rare as hell, like Perloff having fun. The chat stays lit, Filmo's throwing flames. Daly's got the plow, Pilates skips games. Maggie and Perloff hold it down so tight, while Pete's at home, sleeping through the night. Drunk while Sam's laughing, snow falling slow.
30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Cleveland is that. Cleveland is the. Cleveland is the reason I'm cold.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Mount Olympus week month continues. We're looking at 4 sports gods from all the major sports cities. Today, we did Cleveland, rich and somewhat infamous sports history.
Tortured.
It's been tortured for sure. I went with, for my 4 choices, LeBron James, Jim Brown, Otto Graham, and Bob Feller. Maggie?
I also went with LeBron and Jim Brown. I went with Jim Thome and Bernie Kosar, another hometown, nearby Cleveland product who really wanted to play for the Browns and is still a figure today.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy. Yesterday we did Detroit, and someone, Rob Parker, brought up Al Kaline, Mr. Tiger. Bernie Kosar is kind of Mr. Brown. I get that. He's obviously does color. I know there's a name. We're about to have Nathan Zegura on, who works for the team, does the radio broadcast. I know exactly who he's going to say we missed. And he's definitely going to say you should have done Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it was Joe Thomas just didn't get to the playoffs. You know, he was there for the leanest years of Cleveland, but
not his fault.
Might be the greatest. Actually, Jim Brown is obviously the greatest player of all time, but I think Joe Thomas is an easy choice for number 2.
No doubt. And really a guy who embodied the city. I mean, no frills, no nonsense. A guy who was out fishing the day he got drafted, right? I mean, love that. PJ's in Atlanta has someone else that we missed. What's up, PJ?
Hey, Brian Seith,
Yep.
who started the Cardiac Kids in 1980, and Mark Price. He was buckets.
I thought about Mark Price for sure, but if I'm going to put one Cleveland Cavalier on, it's got to be LeBron.
I know LeBron, I know.
But no, it's a good one.
I love that team. Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance. Oh, so good. They should. I mean, that was a team that would have gotten the finals without Jordan being around.
Yep.
Elo. Hey, PJ, we were doing a Hall of Infamy for Cleveland. If you're a Cleveland fan, who would you put? Elo would be on there for me for being a victim to Jordan's jumper.
Elo was a good player.
I'm a Bullets fan. We stink, so don't bring that up.
All right.
PJ, thank you so much for the call.
Elo was a good player, but he's most famous, obviously, for being in the background when Mike jumps in the air and pumps his fist.
Yeah, because they made a Gatorade commercial out of it. That's not Craig Elo's fault. He was, and I think actually, and maybe our next guest can remind me about this, I think that Craig Elo was actually having a really good series. And now it's weird that he's not weird. That was obviously an all-time highlight because Jordan, jumps 50 feet in the air and does a perfect fist pump.
Yeah. I mean, Brian Russell, same thing. Some people are just meant to be on the downside of a poster.
Oh, man. Let's get to our guest today. We're doing the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods from every city. Today is Cleveland, which was a tough one. Nathan Zegura is the color. Thank you, LeBron. Nathan Zegura is a color analyst. Cleveland Browns Radio Network, been covering the Cleveland Browns and Cleveland sports for 2 decades now, more than that. Nathan, it's Maggie and Perloff. Thanks so much for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to be with you guys.
Great to be with you, too. So, okay, you know the assignment. From what I'm told, you understand who Perloff and I both picked. We'll get your Mount Olympus in just a moment, but what's the biggest bone you would have to pick with either of our 4 selections if you have them?
I really don't have a bone to pick with your guys' selections. Honestly, I just have a very strong personal preference for who my 4th would be. I think it's pretty clear. And Maggie, I didn't see yours, so I know Pearl's. So give me your 4 real quick.
So I went with LeBron and Jim Brown also. I think those are indisputable. I went with Jim Thome.
Jim Thome. Okay. All right.
And Bernie Kosar.
So I think that your Mount Olympus would have 2 obvious locks. And then I think you went 2 more kind of like cult favorites. I'll make this argument. And I've said this many, many times. So I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was very lucky as a child to be a 49ers fan. By the time I had turned 10, I had won 4 Super Bowls. By the time I left high school, I had won 5. And I thought, wow, this is great. That's how sports work. And then I'm going to move to Cleveland, and we had LeBron James. We had the best player on the planet. We're going to win a bunch of NBA titles. Now, fortunately, he came back. We did win the one in 2016. But I was very lucky with that. And Joe Montana, to me, was my hero as a young man. Bernie Kosar is, without question, more popular in Cleveland than Joe Montana is in the Bay Area. Without question. I would go so far as to say, in all of my travels around, I think that Bernie Kosar is the most popular athlete in the city in which he played, who not only never won a championship, never even competed for a championship. Bernie Kosar is a legend in this town. He walks on water in this town. So from that standpoint, I wouldn't argue with Bernie Kosar being put on that Mount Olympus because he is so popular and he's such a great guy. I've gotten the opportunity to work with him. I've gotten the opportunity to know him very well. So that one I wouldn't argue. Thome certainly is a cult figure from those great Indians teams, but I don't know that he's Mount Olympus. I think Pearl's throwing Bob Feller in there and Otto Graham. So I thought the 3 locks had to be Jim Brown, LeBron James, and Otto Graham. I just thought those had to be the 3 locks. And then I'm going personal preference on my number 4, which is on neither of yours. So at least it makes it a little interesting. And that is, he's one of my great friends. And I feel very honored to call him a great friend. He has the longest consecutive snap streak played in NFL history. He is the NFL's Iron Man. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is a 10-time Pro Bowler, a 6-time first team All-Pro. Joe Thomas. Yeah. I call him the Hoff. To me, Dion always makes the complaint about the NFL Hall of Fame that there are too many people in the Hall of Fame, right? We should have this special wing for the true greats. And I always say that if you were to put together, we'll call it even just two teams, and you don't even have to go 53s, but just like an 11 on offense and 11 on defense, and have that twice and call that quote unquote the ultimate game. And of course, you get Devin Hester and specialists in there, Vinatieri and whatnot, Ray Guy at punter. But if you had that ultimate game where there are only two left tackles in it, Joe Thomas is probably in that game. And to me, that tells you just how great he was. And to be a first ballot Hall of Famer like he was, and not to mention the fact that he is one of the greatest human beings you will ever meet. I mean, he is such a good guy. He is such a fun guy. So he would have to be on my Mount Olympus.
Nate, right before you came on, you didn't hear it. I said he's definitely going to yell at us for not putting Joe Thomas on there. But I will give you the counter argument.
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, he's my guy. We bread together. I was just up at his. I just did a turkey hunt with him. He has a turkey camp up in his big farm in Wisconsin, and I had never done anything like that in my life.
How'd you do?
Went up there with him, and I'm looking around, and he's got all this beautiful land, and now he's raising cows. He's got Six Springs Farm beef. He calls it Hall of Fame beef, and now he's going to have American Wagyu, and he's all about that. And I look around, and I said to him at one point, I go, "You played in the NFL so that you could have this, right? That was your means to this end." And he's like, "Oh, absolutely, absolutely."
Some guys,
he's right now. He's actually in the Galapagos Islands, believe it or not. And it has been a lifelong quest of his to catch a marlin. He had a dream when he was 14 years old that he wanted to catch a marlin, and he finally did it down in the Galapagos. And his son caught one too, so he got to have that big memory.
But wait, he didn't win. When you put him, say have a debate, is Joe Thomas among the top 5 left tackles of all time? The lack of winning, what do you say to people who criticize him for that?
As he can't control that. He can't control that. I mean, we know the most important position in all of professional sports is the quarterback position, and you guys have seen the jersey. Obviously, the list is very long and unfortunately not very distinguished for the Cleveland Browns. And right now, heck, we got 4 more guys competing, although Flacco's already on the list. It's really 3. I would say the young guys, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. I don't hold that against him. I will say that there is one great what if in his career, and we kind of put his brain in a pretzel one day on Cleveland Browns Daily. Peyton Manning wanted him. The Broncos wanted him for that Super Bowl run when they ended up winning the Super Bowl. And Joe actually is the one who turned that deal down.
Yeah.
And we're like, you probably go to Denver, you win a Super Bowl. He is a Wilderman. I said, you could be living in the mountains of Colorado right now, having the time of your life. And my co-host Bo Bishop said that as well. And Joe's like, he kind of froze for a second, and he's never short on words. And he was like, yeah, maybe that would have been good. But I think there was something to him about the Browns drafted him, and he wanted to be a Cleveland Brown for the entirety of his career. Good, bad, indifferent. And I think that's one of the very sad things for him is that he never got the opportunity to play in those big games on those big stages. But you talk to anybody who played against him during that era, he's the best. He's the best.
Nathan Zegura is joining us. Cleveland Browns Radio Network knows the Browns inside and out. We're doing the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff today. The city is Cleveland, Ohio. So the 4 sports gods from Cleveland, and we had to go directly to the source here. You mentioned the quarterback situation right now. Can we get some boots on the ground from what's going on at OTAs with regards to Shedeur Sanders? We're also on in Portland, so there's a lot of Dylan Gabriel fans all throughout the country, but certainly there. What has Shedeur been like in these OTAs, and what do fans want here, Nate? Do they want to see Shedeur get this job, or are they sort of like jury's out? Are they indifferent? What's the vibe?
I mean, it was a crazy draft, right, to watch it all unfold. And, I'm sure you guys have talked to a lot of people. I've talked to a ton of people. I was at the Combine. I've talked to a lot of people in our building. And the consensus that I got was that there are very few people around the league, if any. I haven't talked to any, perhaps you guys have, that had a grade other than a first-round grade or an early to mid-second-round grade on Shedeur Sanders. I didn't know anybody. The people that were, quote-unquote, down on him saw him as an early to mid-second-rounder. Browns got him in the 5th round. And, as the story went, obviously they love Dylan Gabriel. Kevin Stefanski loves Dylan Gabriel, thinks Dylan Gabriel does the things and operates the quarterback position the exact way that he wants a quarterback to operate in his offense. But once the 4th round ended, and the Browns actually thought about taking Shedeur Sanders when they ended up taking the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, Dylan Sampson, the running back out of Tennessee, they thought about taking him there. Once 4th round was over, they're like, let's get on the phone. We're getting him. Sorry. We're getting Shedeur Sanders. So they make the trade. And obviously, they never thought they were coming out of this draft with Gabriel and Sanders. I think going into it, it was, we're either going to get Cam Ward if Tennessee doesn't take him number one, which is why the trade with Jacksonville wasn't announced until the night of. That was kind of in place for multiple weeks. It was just a matter of, let's just make sure Tennessee takes Cam Ward before we trade out of this spot. So once they took him, the Browns were coming out of the draft with Dylan Gabriel. That was the plan. That's what they knew. Could they have taken him in the 4th round? Maybe. Andrew Berry told me that, a team did call him and say, if you guys tried to wait till your 4th round pick, we would have taken him. And once they made the trade with Jacksonville, another part of that people forget is we moved, I think, from 105 or 106 down, 20-something spots down to where we ended up taking Dylan Sampson. So they ended up taking him at the end of the 3rd round. Then you get Shedeur. I really think it's kind of a three-horse race. I think Joe Flacco, who we love here in Cleveland, he's become legendary for that playoff run that he brought us after being a Browns killer with the Baltimore Ravens for so many years. He's in his 40s now. And, you're looking for the quarterback of the present and the future. So Kenny Pickett's been brought in 15-10 as a starter, obviously knows the division very well. They like him a lot. And I would say right now, if you're handicapping who's going to be the week 1 starter, I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett because he's played in the league. By the way, our schedule, I don't know if you guys looked at it. It is a brutal opening. The 6 teams the Browns play in the first 6 weeks last year were combined 40 games over 500. Cincinnati, at Baltimore, Green Bay, at Detroit, Minnesota, and London, and then at Pittsburgh, where this is my 13th season either on the sideline or in the booth. I've never seen us win a regular season game in Pittsburgh. Now, I've seen us win in COVID in the playoffs, but in front of 200 people, but I've never seen us win a regular season game. I happen to be one of those 200 people, so that was actually very fun, but never seen us win a regular season game. So that's a very tough start to the schedule, which is why I don't think a rookie's going to end up starting there. So far, Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett are getting the most reps. Shedeur Sanders is getting the least amount of reps right now. Could that change? Absolutely. Do our fans want to see Shedeur Sanders? Absolutely. Do they want to see him week 1? I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think that at some point this season, you want to see. Now, Pickett goes out there and lights it up. Maybe Kenny Pickett could be that guy, former 1st-round pick. But I think at some point you will see Pickett, you will see Gabriel, and I think you will see Shedeur Sanders this season for the Cleveland Browns as they try to figure out, do we have somebody here that enables us to use 2 first-round picks to buttress this roster as opposed to using 2 again to get another quarterback?
So
Shedeur's look good, though. His ball placement is elite. His ability to layer throws is elite. I think he's got plenty of arm strength. We've seen that on display, certainly in camp at times. I think the last one, and now we're getting – so I've been there, like I said, 13 years. The quest for the quarterback has been long. I've never seen OTA trackers before. Like training camp, I've seen that. I've never seen OTA trackers, but I can tell you Shedeur was 7 of 9 with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in the last OTA period open to the media. Obviously a heavy red zone period, and he was very good there. Gabriel's made a lot of good throws. Flacco's Flacco. He still can wow you. I mean, when he's standing there, he's 6'6". He still can sling the ball. And then Pickett has looked good as well. But there's something about Shedeur. I got a chance to interview him. He is very confident, but not in a cocky way. Has a lot of belief in himself. I like him. I like the kid a lot. I was very into the Browns taking him in the 1st round. In my tape study of him, to me, if you can be that accurate, he was so tough. He got beaten up in college. I mean, absolutely annihilated behind that line. Did he develop some bad habits? Sure. But when plays were clean, his ball placement is, I think, elite. And if you can be accurate with the football, deliver, and know where it's supposed to go, you can be very successful in this league for a long time, especially in this style of an offense.
Nate, we're up against a break, so we don't have time, but I did want to ask you, greatest pass-catching tight end of all time. And you know why I'm asking.
From the Bay Area, so I would say Tony Gonzalez because I love Tony Gonzalez. Also, Travis Kelce, Cleveland guy, pretty darn good. But the greatest tight end of all time, which I was privy to a great debate, and I'll get you out of here real quick, is not Vernon Davis. It is Rob Gronkowski. I side with DP.
There was the all-time most intense sports debate. Nathan was there. Jason LaConfort versus Dan Patrick arguing about pass-catching tight ends. I'm telling you, it was.
Yeah, we were quality Italian in New York. It was, and it got heated.
You had to be there. Yeah, I can't believe you answer. You go immediately give a real answer. What are you talking about? But
amazing, Nathan Zegura. You can listen to him in Cleveland. Cleveland Browns Radio Network does a fantastic job. Thank you for lending your credibility and expertise to the Maggie and Perloff Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods of Cleveland. Thanks, Nate.
My pleasure. Bernie's a good one, though. That is a good, out of the box. That was a very good selection.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. All right, we got lots more to do here, including, somebody else who had a little memorable stint in Cleveland. Odell Beckham Jr., not on the Mount Olympus. No. But he opened up in a recent interview. We were surprised what he had to say. You will be too. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Lost the bet, now he's in this thing. Tom Brady's name was on the line. Now he's dressed like this. Oh, what a time! Spikes on his helmet, glowing red eyes. Chains on his chest like he's raiding the skies. Silver and black, he's over the top. At the football game, they'll never stop.
Late night vibes hitting up the show. Maggie and Perloff dropping tapes that glow. And the chat's done a film low, runs the scene. Spitting fire so hot it makes the snow seem mean.
Tracy Morgan courtside, feeling real nice. Cheesing for the camera, sipping on Sprite. Knicks looking hot, the Garden's alive. Then suddenly, oh no, man died. Vomits flying, they hit the floor. Took out a fan in row 4. Kenny Albert's trying to call the play, but Clyde just mutters, get out the way. Rolling out in the wheelchair, what a scene. Projectile blasting like a damn machine. Knicks still winning, but Tracy's losing. Belani's still missing, man, that's confusing. No start gushing, medics in a sprint. Aaron Judge looking like, what's that scent? EJ and Manny covering their eyes. Bruh, this is worse than the Porzingis trade twice. Maybe it was the hot dogs, maybe the beer. Maybe he saw Randall and shed a sad tear. Or maybe he looked at the empty chair where Peter Pilati should be, but he's never there. In a wheelchair, what a scene. Projectile blasting like a damn machine. Knicks still winning, but Tracy's losing. Pilati's still missing, man, that's confusing. Maybe it was the hot dogs, maybe the beer. Maybe he saw Randall and shed a sad tear. Or maybe he looked at the empty chair where Peter Pilati should be, but he's never there. Rolling out in the wheelchair, what a scene. MSG janitors need a hazmat team. Nick's still winning, but Tracy's losing. Pilati's still missing, HR's confusing. We love you, Tracy. Hope you're all good. Come back soon to rip the Knicks like you should. The next time they sit a few rows back, or just pull a Pilati, don't even show up fast. We love you, show up fast. We love you, Tracy. Hope you're all good.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Andrew Bogish is here with headlines for us on a very busy Friday.
I guess so.
Listen, you have to play Knicks highlights. You're contractually obligated to do it. They won last night. You got to give EJ and Manny a little something.
I will remind them that none of the history is in the Knicks' favor still. They've never erased, as a franchise, a 3-1 series hole, and the Pacers have never blown one, and no NBA team has won a conference final after losing the first 2 games at home. But these Knickerbockers are alive and kind of well this morning.
Right wing 3, Brunson off the dribble. He got it and one. 4-point play opportunity for Brunson, and the Knicks have an 81-64 lead.
That's Tyler Murray on Knicks Radio. Brunson and company pulling away in the third for a series-extending 111-94 win. Brunson finished with 32. Karl Anthony Towns scored 24, grabbing 13 rebounds. Meanwhile, Pascal Siakam, the only Pacer starter in double figures with 15. Tyrese Halliburton scoring just 8 points, taking just 7 shots. This is the first time this postseason Indy doesn't score 100 points. Game 6 in Indy tomorrow night. There's no Game 6 out west on ice. The Oilers won their 4th straight game, 6-3 in Dallas, to end the Star season in 5. As Pearl knows, teams don't usually touch the conference champion trophy because they only care about the Stanley Cup. But Oilers captain Connor McDavid picked that bad boy up last night.
Pretty obvious, I think. Don't touch it last year, don't win. Touch it this year, hopefully we win.
They lost the Stanley...
I get that logic.
Yeah, sure. They lost the Stanley Cup final in 7 games to the Panthers last June. The rematch begins Wednesday night in Edmonton. Baseball last night, Nats Mariners 2-2 through 9, and then it got a little crazy.
Now the pitch. Swinging a long drive to right by Bell. No one's catching this one. Going, gone, goodbye. That'll bring everybody home. Bang, soon goes Josh Bell with his 2nd home run in as many nights.
That's Charlie Slows on Nats Radio. That 3-run homer in a 7-run 10th for Washington. They win this game 9-3. And the National Football Foundation yesterday changed the eligibility requirements for coaches to be considered for the College Football Hall of Fame. The career win percentage threshold dropping from 600 to 595, which makes a handful of quality coaches eligible, headlined by the late Mike Leach. This change takes effect for 2027 voting.
Yeah, that guy is, amongst coaches, popular. I mean, I don't know if he's popular as a person, but that is, whatever the Mike Leach... Did you ever interview him, by the way?
No.
What an interesting cat.
I wish I had, because he liked to talk about topics outside of football, like
Like the type
wars
and the
stuff.
type of coffee that he would drink.
His offense too is like when that first came, when it first hit, it was like, what is going on here? I love that. Before people could catch up to the spread was amazing.
Yeah, he was an innovator. He deserves to be in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I like this headline. I had no idea there was the Hall of Fame that had that rule.
Yeah, me neither. And part of me feels like, why don't you just say, okay, Mike Leach can get in? You know what I mean? Like
exception.
Like instead of changing the rule. But
the
I guess
rule is stupid though, right?
I guess so, but a couple of Hall of Fames have this, like the PGA Tour, the Golf Hall of Fames have like certain requirements. I think it helps kind of like
narrow down
a little bit.
Huh. I mean, we were just talking about Joe Thomas and the Cleveland Browns. If there was a win percentage, he would not.
No, thanks.
I mean, for a lot of these guys who made the Hall of Fame, look at yesterday, Barry Sanders and Megatron. I mean, Megatron was there for an 0 season.
Yeah. No, that again, it's hard to put a rule like that in place. But congrats to Leach's family, at least. Yeah,
and his memory should be honored. Thank you, Bogish. Coming up next, we will dive into the latest with one generational quarterback. He's saying all the right things, but does that mean all the drama's behind him? Get to that next.
Huge FedEx fan.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Morgan courtside, feeling real nice. Cheesing for the camera, sipping on Sprite. Knicks looking hot, the Garden's alive. Then he had the tickets, Rangers on the ice. Said, Perloff, my guy, it's gonna be nice. But halfway through, Perloff starts to yawn. Checking his watch, something feels wrong. He leans in close, whispers with dread. Manny, I gotta go, it's almost time for bed. Manny said, wait, the game's still tight. Perloff said, yeah, but my TV's on tonight. Perloff left Manny stranded all alone. Took the last train, didn't even check his phone. Rangers in a shootout, Manny lost his ride. But Perloff was home, TV remote at his side. Meanwhile, Bellotti was supposed to be there, but guess what? He vanished into thin air. Maybe he's sick, maybe he's fine, or maybe he's just avoiding the grind. Man, he's still texting, waiting for a sign. Perloff's in pajamas, feeling just fine. Bellotti's a mystery, where could he be? Probably still dodging responsibility. Perloff left Manny stranded all alone. Took the last train, didn't even check his phone. Rangers in a shootout, Manny lost his ride. But Perloff was home, TV remote at his side. Manny's still texting, waiting for a sign. Perloff's in pajamas, feeling just fine. Bellotti's a mystery, where could he be? Probably still dodging Respoid in the grind. Man, he's still texting, waiting for a sign. Perloff's in pajamas, feeling just fine. Bellotti's a mystery, where could he be?
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Inbound to right. Shot clock is off, and the Knicks are not done yet. There will be a Game 6 in Indiana and a statement victory tonight on their home court. They beat the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals at Madison Square Garden for the first time of the series with a 17-point victory. Final score 111-94.
Thank you to the Knicks Radio Network for that. Yeah, Knicks led wire to wire last night. We will have a Game 6, as Tyler just said there, and it will be Saturday night. So, Pearl, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Who has the most pressure on them in Game 6, Pacers-Knicks?
Oh, my God. By a mile, the Indiana Pacers. A, it's in their home building. B, they were up 3-1. And this just feels like the kind of series that's going to go down in NBA history. So a 3-1 comeback does not seem out of reach at all. And also, too, the Knicks, I think, realized something last night. They kind of woke up and said, wait, we're the more talented team in this series. The thing is, the Pacers have more depth, but the Knicks made an adjustment and are actually using their bench a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it feels like the Knicks figured some things out, and I think the Pacers are feeling pressure just by the nature of the series. I think they're a little worried about Aaron Nesmith's health because he seems like the only guy who can really consistently slow down Brunson a little bit. And you need a little offense from him, and you didn't have it last night. I think Miles Turner is wearing down their center. There's definitely some leaks coming in on the Pacers ship to me, and I think they're worried if they don't win Game 6, they are not going to compete in Game 7.
Interesting. They've been a great road team, though. The Pacers have been awesome. Now, a Game 7, if that indeed happens, obviously that's a vulnerable spot to be in on the road.
Last night they didn't look like they looked like the Garden got to them last night for the first time.
Literally the first road loss that they've had in these playoffs. And, they took care of business in Cleveland, which people in Cleveland still reeling about. But if you're asking me if there's one individual person who has the most pressure on them, I would probably say it's probably Tom Thibodeau, Karl Anthony Towns combo platter here. Because I think that these are the two players who fans, whether it's just Knicks fans or even casual fans, are kind of waiting to pile on, waiting to criticize. See how almost reluctantly had to give Tom Thibodeau credit for going to his bench this late, but that credit is also tinged with a little bit of criticism, which is how come it took you this long to figure out what you had on the bench? And I always thought the funny part about Karl Anthony Towns, who was excellent last night, but he offensively, and he's playing on a bum knee, but he defensively is a liability. We all know that. The Knicks accept that. But I think there's, even Chuck last night talking about it. Why do you commit these stupid fouls? He's like, that's a good question. He didn't have an answer for it. I don't think there's a lot of love for Karl Anthony Towns, which is ironic because in some ways he kind of saved the season because of how good he was in Game 3 when the Knicks were in danger of going down 0-3 in the series, and then it would have been absolute, curtains. And the irony is everyone's been so critical in New York about Towns, yet he's the one who saved their bacon, and he's also came up big last night. So I think in terms of individuals, Thibodeau and Towns are feeling the most pressure going into Game 6.
I feel like Cat's already changed the narrative on himself a little bit.
Just wait 5 minutes.
But he was so awful last year in the Western Conference Finals. Not awful, but he was just not very good. And he's been so good in this series. Look at his numbers last year compared to this year. I felt like when he went out of Minnesota, people were like, well, he can't win at the highest level because he came up small in the playoffs, and he's come up big in this playoffs. His numbers are outstanding. So and also too, who's covering that guy at Indiana? How are they going to? I don't see him having a bad game. Even a bad game for him in this series has been 23 points. And I think he's raised the bar of who he is. I mean, you're right. He's terrible defensively, and the fouls are awful. Don't get me wrong.
And the ripple effect of that, because you have Mitchell Robinson who comes in. Well, they've been starting together in the lately, but you'd like to stagger them, right? They played a little bit together, but you'd like to stagger them. But Mitchell Robinson is an absolute zero offensively and can't hit a free throw, and so you do give up a little bit of your offense there. And when Indiana's trying to run you up and down the court, you need to be able to keep pace offensively. Now, I'll ask the Knicks fans here. Has Karl Anthony Towns exercised all demons? Because I think you guys are waiting to pile on him, whether you admit it or not.
I don't think so. I don't think so that we're waiting to pile on him. I think the Game 3 snapshot was a dark, bleak snapshot of how Knicks fans feel about him. Because I think if you watch that first half and then go on Knicks Twitter and see how they're talking, like that was like Knicks fans at their most desperate, at their most angry.
That he saved their asses.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were like, wow, he was amazing. Like, I think for most of this postseason, Knicks fans have been fine with Karl-Anthony Towns. It's been when he settles for too many bad shots. He just plays dumb basketball. Like, that's the thing that's, like, mind-boggling for a guy that could be that talented, that he will go in stretches, sometimes a quarter, sometimes a whole half, where he'll just kill you. But for most of this postseason, because the whole Knicks team's been good in the fourth quarter, he's had very good fourth quarters and good closing moments. So I don't think that he's the guy that's going to wear this if they lose. I think it's going to be Thibodeau. To me, he is very clearly, squarely in the crosshairs of the Knicks, not just fans. I still think, to a small degree, because I was a big one last night, I think in the front office too, there are people who talk around this team who think that Tom Thibodeau has to comport himself in a way that doesn't make him look like he's out of touch in this series. And things were looking bleak when they were down 2-0, bleak when they were down 3-1. But to his credit, they won these two games in large part because he made the adjustment that people were calling for him to do weeks ago, months ago. Like playing Landry Shamet and DeLon Wright. I don't know if he listened to my local New York radio show. I was saying that on the fan. Like, and I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people who have been saying that for a long time. So he's getting credit for that. But to a certain degree, he's become Johnny come lately with a lot of these adjustments.
Yeah, but one thing about Cat, by the way, you notice he's not selling for the three anymore. That's like the game changer. I feel like I know what you're saying, Maggie, and you're right, New York fans are fickle, but I feel like he's the most improved player. I'm giving him the MIP playoffs.
I'm telling you, like EJ said, the first half of that game 3, both EJ and Manny would have driven him to the airport. And they wouldn't have. They would have made him walk. That's how bad it was. And then the irony was in the fourth quarter, he was amazing, and he ended up just taking that game home.
But I guess the difference, though, Maggie, was I don't think that we were surprised that he did that.
Because like his bar was low coming into this year. Nobody was like, Cat is a top 10 player in the NBA.
But I also think that we're not surprised that he then rebounded. That's what I meant, actually. But you're right, too. We're not surprised.
But it's up and down, right? Like, you're absolutely positive what you're going to get from him in Game 6?
No, but I think, again, I'm telling you, a lot of people, even Karl-Anthony Towns' failures, a lot of people blame on Tom Thibodeau. And maybe it could be unfair. From the outside, I think a lot of people look at it and say that that's unfair. But they'll look at how he is being played and how they use him, and they'll say if a different coach would have him in much better situations.
Asking you today, did the Knicks find something here? And do you think this is going to a Game 7 at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476? Yeah,
he is. But you have to, a different coach out better. He is twice the player he was last year in Minnesota.
Definitely. I mean, he was playing he had tore his meniscus last year and came back.
Yeah,
people forgot he was playing
or any other year in big moments. He shrunk in a lot of moments. Like he would just disappear and fade into the perimeter.
No, but he was good before they got to the Western Conference Finals.
He was good, but he was never this consistent. Like he is a different offensive player. I think it's because of the team. There's less ball to share, but I think he's a new player. I think he's way better than he was in Minnesota. And that's why Minnesota got rid of him. I mean, here's the thing. Like, if they want to drive him out of town, like he's a big, getting older now, expensive player. Like, for example, I don't think the Bucks are going to take him for Giannis. I'd be shocked. So I think the bar is lower for Cat. I think he's been scoring 20 points at minimum every game. He's not coming out of this to go. By the way, cut that. He's lots of blame. I mean, I think honestly, Brunson could end up being the GOAT if he has a bad
GOAT in a bad way.
GOAT in a bad way, right? Like I don't think people expect that out of Cat. I think they expect Brunson to be the man.
Yeah, but Brunson is enjoying a very elevated, and he's earned it, a very elevated status right now, I think, with the Knicks. He's already been made a captain, which is, for any city in any sport, that's always a big deal.
Who needs Brunson?
And I think that you'll see, because even when the Knicks make runs, when he's on the bench, he doesn't stay on the bench. There is a loyalty there to Brunson, and I think the Knicks fan base appreciate him pulling this organization out of the depths, whereas Karl-Anthony Towns just got here. Now, ironically, Towns is actually from here. He's like a homegrown guy. So you'd think that he would get a little of that, but he really doesn't seem to.
Well, that's why I kind of wanted Brunson, because Brunson is the guy. So when the team loses, it's the guy, he's the clear 1A of this team.
No, Brunson is an amazing spot that very few athletes get to enjoy, which is he's clearly the guy, and he should be feeling the most pressure, but he was a second-round pick who's taken less money, who's unselfish, who's undersized. So he's weird because he's a superstar and an underdog at the same time. The only other person who ever pulled this off was Brady to a certain extent, like early on, being picked 199 and then doing that. Brunson's obviously not on Brady's level, but it's a unique spot. Like Karl Anthony Towns was the number 1 overall pick, Kentucky, the whole deal.
Yeah, but
he takes a lot of heat.
But he's a goofball. Like, people have already lowered their expectations over the years on that dude. And if they haven't, they should.
I'm just saying, Brunson is like, he's threading this interesting needle
I know it's
to be a star and an underdog at the same time.
It's an interesting point. But I think that people think that the team is on his shoulders. I don't think anyone thinks. If the team is on Cat's shoulders, I mean, dear God. Like, is that really the situation you want?
Oh, my God!
Yeah, of course, he's Karl Anthony Towns.
I was like, you're crazy, man. You're crazy. He's not going to wear this. But, man, if they're relying on him in Game 6,
what I mean. Like,
they are in trouble.
That's what I mean. What? Nobody thinks that it's on his shoulders.
And to Pearl's point, I also feel like there's some confidence that, like, Miles Turner, last I checked, he's going to be there on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, my God, does he have his number right now?
So, like, Miles Turner and the other guy, who's the guy? Bradley. Those guys, I'm sure Calvin
Bradley's
Towns.
out, right?
He got hurt.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. Maybe he can. But even if it's Thomas Bryant, I think Karl Anthony Towns is like, hey, Uber, hey, can I get a limo? Yeah. Champagne. Stock it up with a bunch of food. Yep. Make sure those guys get there. I want to make sure they are perfectly right at that arena, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Yeah, I want to make sure they get to the game so I can give them this 30-piece I'm about to give them.
Miles Turner needs a nap before these games. He gets wiped out tired by the third quarter.
I've been kissed harder than that.
I want to get to Caleb Williams in a moment. You're welcome to weigh in on Knicks Pacers at 888-710-4ISN. We are doing an awesome thing right now, the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods from every sports city. And today we tackled Cleveland.
It's all factories.
Yesterday was Detroit. Wednesday was New York. Our pal Big Friendly, who I haven't heard from for a while, wants to weigh in on the sports gods of Cleveland. What's up, Big Friendly?
Good morning, Maggie Malone, EJ the EP, Manny De Niro, Daddy Cool, 411. Good morning. And thank you for taking my call.
You got it. How you been?
Real quick, I want to defend Perloff real quick.
Okay.
I was listening to a show, and Perloff asked the question if women have prostates.
Yeah.
You remember that show? Now, when I was in high school, Tim Rother, who played for the Raiders, was my track coach. We were at a track meet, and I'm standing next to him, and one of the coaches said, Kimberly has pulled her growing. I turned to Tim and was like, women have growings? So I think we've all been there. But real quick.
Yeah, an anatomy lesson for us all. No, women don't have prostates.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Okay. So the 4 Cleveland greats, I would say, and 411, tell me if I'm wrong, I would put number 1, Ozzie Newsome, because he was a Cleveland Brown. I would put Kenny Lofton.
Whoop. Oh, I love Kenny Lofton.
I would put Brad Daugherty and the late, great Jim Brown.
I mean, that's a hell of a list. Kenny Lofton is an interesting one because Lofton, obviously, most known for Cleveland, but how many teams did Kenny Lofton play for?
But real quick, if you remember that ALCS against the Mariners, Kenny Lofton was everything.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Kenny, the Indians did not go that far. Now, and real quick, Maxie.
Kenny Lofton played for almost every team in Major League Baseball.
Played for the Yankees.
That's true, but when he played for the Indians,
yeah, the most with Cleveland, 10 years.
And before you let me go, Maggie, you still have a bet you owe me.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up.
Come on now, like I said, Manny. Remember, I'm the elephant in the room, Manny. So I need something, a Rams hat, a Rams whistle. I mean, I'm over here. I got people asking me every day, Bob, what's up with this? Big Friendly, what's up with this bet? And I'm like, hey, man, hey,
right. I gotta dress up as a Rams fan, right? I gotta wear Rams jersey, diehard Rams. I gotta be painting my face, the whole deal.
Well, what you said is when we made the deal, you said that you guys had you had like a Rams necklace and you had a couple of Rams things. So that you ain't got to paint your face. I understand that Buffalo hasn't done what they want to do, but just And real quick, Daddy Cool.
That was a nice way of putting
Daddy
it.
Cool.
Yo.
Daddy Cool.
Yo.
Game 6. The Knicks get flushed.
It's going to be
by
close.
the Pacers.
Big Friendly. This series, the game will be close. Do you think it'll be a blowout?
I don't think it'll be a blowout because I agree with you with Naismith's injury, and for some reason, is it Turner, their big man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, it seems like every game he gets smaller. So I don't. When it goes to pressure, this is what I think happens to these young guys. is that I don't think they're ready, but I think it's going to go to 7. I would just like to see the Knicks get knocked out because I got a bet with a friend.
I know, and you got to bet with me that you won, Big Friendly. Great to hear from you, pal. I do have to wear some Rams stuff. We have our Rams necklace that we got at the Super Bowl when the first year of the show when we were in L.A. So I've got a couple bets out there, actually, if we're taking stock of some things.
Girl, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Enough with these bets.
It's Perloff's influence. I got to do the Rams bet for Big Friendly. I also bet Perloff. This was a sneaky one that I think everyone may have forgotten that I probably could have just gotten away with, but I'm a woman of my word. I have integrity. Tons of it.
Those are big waffles.
Well, the waffles, hold on 1 second. We remember that. The one we forgot, I think, was that I was adamant that Tom Brady was one and done in the broadcast booth.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, you were.
That is true.
But we didn't. Did we? We bet on that?
Yeah.
I have to dress up like a member of the Black Hole.
Black Hole.
Yes, I forgot about
That's
that.
fun.
I was officially a member of the show when that happened. So yeah,
you can do that on Halloween. Double
Crap.
dip.
Oh, that's awesome.
I could do that for Halloween. All right. I mean, I want to pay it off, though.
That's
so
in 47 months.
I got to figure out, that's going to be a tough costume to pull off. Like, I got to probably go to multiple different stores. Like, is it even safe to wear that kind of color paint on your face?
Probably
Silver?
not, but just, going to a bunch of stores, girl, Amazon.com.
Yeah, I know.
Boom.
She's trying to avoid Amazon.
Well, for Halloween, it's kind of tough.
And then the waffle bet, obviously.
Delicious waffles.
With the
Big
24
waffles.
hours worth of waffles. Oof.
All right,
big summer.
Not to be gross, but back to that prostate thing for 1 second. I kind of know, but I don't really know what a prostate does or where it is or like, it's one of those.
I don't think guys know either.
Yeah. Like, it's not like that common. Like when I said women, I figured, like what's the appendix do? I thought it was like I had no idea.
The appendix is designed to be removed.
Or like a gallbladder.
Well, it's just
that's a little more.
I thought they were I don't know where I am not good at biology. I assume evolutionary biology. At some point, there was like a divergence where men got prostates and women got something else, right? Whatever.
We got a lot of things.
Yeah, you guys have all sorts of things going on down there.
Yeah.
Not to get gross.
Yeah.
But I couldn't name. I remember I took health class in 7th grade. I was like, what?
Her barely covered upper chest area.
Yeah. Like, I don't know any of that stuff. And Manny, you're a
you
young
guys
man.
got the obvious ones.
Go ahead.
Do you know, you don't know what could you draw on the human body where the prostate is?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, right? Like, I have no idea.
Couldn't even tell you where the femur was,
Yeah.
What I mean?
That one's a little
So,
more obvious,
it was
should be
a laugh at thing, but I still, I barely understand how any of this
Adult
works.
toy-shaped feet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's embarrassing for you guys.
Calling all boobs.
You got to know your own equipment. And this isn't equipment.
That's not
Prostate's
equipment.
a different
That's
kind of thing.
inside your body.
Well,
do you know what's inside?
Because everything for women is inside, so I got to know what's inside.
Really?
Obviously. Yes.
Okay.
I'm not breaking news to you guys.
No,
Pick
you're
up
not.
a medical book.
Do you know I'm a big Penix fan. Do you know what the gallbladder does?
Well, that's not a reproductive organ.
I think that stores bile, no?
It's part of the endocrine system. I know that.
Sure, endocrine. I remember that.
Stores bile? Does it create something?
Some will bile. You know, you just
pass.
But you got to know what your prostate is, Pearl. By the way, you should be getting exams and stuff. Like when you asked that question, people were like, "Oh, they thought it was a PSA that we were doing."
Well,
for like
I
some
know
kind
that
of
people
awareness.
I know it's a common thing to get cancer, but I don't really know what it does or anything.
I don't know what it does, but I know where it is.
This is not Perloff's fault or men's fault. It is like the education system in America.
Blame the schools.
Yeah,
blame
definitely.
the teachers.
They never taught us
It's
this.
they don't want to.
It's
There's too much
gross.
giggling. There's too much giggling
Well,
going
but we
on.
all did sympathy for men.
Yeah.
We all did 7th grade health class.
Yeah, and it was so much
uncomfortable.
laughter going on. I didn't learn a thing.
If Penix looks really good, I'm trying to think of what my big takeaway was from 7th grade health class, but I'm not ordering a blow-up doll.
Oh, my
It wasn't
God.
that.
The snickering and giggling
Yeah.
in 7th grade health class was ridiculous. No wonder I didn't learn anything.
Just thinking about that, I'll wet my pants. How do you have more of this? What? I could get impregnated by a Raising Cane's lunch order. That was Deion Sanders helped that quote. Soak a couple of the balls. Start with the anus, end with the anus. What? I didn't say that. That's AA military. I didn't say that.
I mean, really? Miss, can I spell it? Can I spell anatomy?
Yeah.
Didn't say that, really?
I thought you
Was that when the guy was trying to make us eat?
Yeah, that was Jay in Nashville. Not just anybody. One
Go
of our
Danis?
regulars. Yeah. Said our bets were too weak because we're not. I am an idiot. That I definitely said. Ooh, Penix.
Listen, I'm really high on the Penix right now.
Let's stay hard. Can I get through a segment? Penix is going to be inserted. Oh, God.
That's AI. That's AI.
That one was not. I remember that quote.
Listen, it was the biggest story coming out of the draft last year.
Record.
Stay hard. Thankfully, Shedeur Sanders was the big story this year because that's not no slip-ups there.
And not, what, Johnny Balls? Like, what was it?
No, someone named Michael Penix.
And let's not forget Shallow.
All right, Caleb Williams. Let's get to those quotes in just a moment. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Caleb Williams owning everything. Accountability was the name of it. The buzzword of the day. But does it mean that there's drama not on the horizon here for Chicago? Is it all behind them? And your Mount Olympus of Cleveland sports gods, who you got? I'm going to see a lot of Penix.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I already see a conflict brewing in the fall between me and you, Maggie.
Already, it's May.
Yep. This is about the Chicago Bears. I feel like you're really into Caleb Williams, the quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm really into Ben Johnson, the coach. And if they do well, I'm going to be like, I told you Ben Johnson was awesome, but you've been more wait and see with him.
Yes.
What do you have to wait and see? His run game was shocking to the NFL the last 2 years. He is going to kill it down there. And I don't really care who gets the credit, but it should go to Ben Johnson.
I can't understand how you could talk in such absolutes about a guy being a great head coach when we've seen this happen so many times. Like, as many times we've seen quarterbacks be busts who were supposed to be great, we've seen coaches who we thought were going to be awesome and come in and they're better offensive coordinators than they are head coaches. Like, why would he be any different?
He is. I feel like he's Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan 2.0, Kevin O'Connell. I feel like he's one of these guys. Now,
and he could be Mark Trestman.
Mark Trestman was around for years and years and years and years.
Canadian legend.
Yeah, Montreal. I consider Mark Trestman a friend, big fan. But he could be Adam Gase, is what you're saying. But Gase was a product of Peyton Manning. I think Ben Johnson is cut out perfectly. Offensive genius. Supposed to be a super intense coach too.
Right.
Like, he's not just sit in a room and draw up plays. Like, he's got all the coach things. I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's the perfect guy for Caleb Williams too. To what we're going to talk about.
Well, I mean, I'm glad they made a change. I was advocating for them to get rid of Eberflus, et cetera, all before Caleb even got there, because we've seen this happen too many times where a rookie quarterback gets paired up with a lame duck coach. And now all of a sudden, year 2, he's already on system number 2, and he's had 3 different play callers in his ear or whatever. So I do like the fact they changed the coaches. And by the way, I'm open-minded that Ben Johnson could be good. I'm just not anointing him in the way that you are. But I want to talk about Caleb Williams because it obviously was a big, he stirred up a lot of controversy with quotes to our pal Seth Wickersham, who came on the show. He's got a new book out called Quarterback. And Caleb Williams and his dad were just extremely honest about their reservations of going to Chicago before he was drafted. So Caleb was at the microphone yesterday and he said, that was true. The Bears' history, played a factor, but the idea that he could change that history was also enticing.
Through all of, what was, going on, through all of what happened in last year and previous years, I think that was enticing. I think that was something that was glaring to me, that I wanted to come here and be the guy and be a part and be a reason on why Chicago Bears turn this thing around.
Okay, Caleb also saying that he wanted to stress the last part, not that his dad said Chicago's where quarterbacks go to die, which may be historically correct, but still maybe not something you want to put on the record before your son ever takes a snap in that city. And the pre-draft interview with Minnesota went really well, and he did get drawn to Kevin O'Connell. But Caleb saying he wanted to stress the last part, which is that joining the Bears felt right.
The last thing that was said and all of that, I think, was the most important thing, is that I wanted to be here, that I love being here. I love my teammates. I love all the people that got me here, family, friends, Ryan, Kevin, Flus and Shane, all those guys that went through all of that process with me to get me here. But it was all those things, like I said, were thoughts. But the main goal and the main objective of being here is to turn around. That's why I was selected number 1. And so, that's what we're here to do.
Okay, so this is like an impressive amount of accountability for a young guy to take. We wonder about Caleb Williams. How's he going to handle the pros? And he was crying in college in his mom's arms. Is this going to be a guy who can handle this kind of pressure? Whatever it is, Heisman Trophy winner. I thought this was very impressive for a young guy to come up. He didn't say he was misquoted. He didn't say Seth Wickersham's a hack. He said, yes, we said all this. We were thinking it. It's just thoughts. My opinion was changed. I loved everything about that. But I'm not willing to say that Chicago's now drama-proof, because if Ben Johnson maybe isn't the second coming of Bill Walsh, and maybe the offense doesn't look like we thought it was going to look, maybe it will. But if it doesn't, I just think these feelings and the doubts are not buried as deeply as you think. Now, they're saying all the right things, but when you hit the adversity, what's going to happen then?
Yeah, I just wonder. I think the team has really been very clear. We're going to build everything around you. We're going to give you every chance to succeed. So I honestly think if he fails, it's going to go on him, and people are going to call him a bust. I don't think it's going to go on. I do agree the Bears are where quarterbacks go to die, but I just think the fact that they've drafted receivers and they invested in the offensive line like crazy. They brought in the number 1 coaching candidate in the hiring cycle by a mile. Everybody wanted this guy. I just think they've done everything for him, and now it's on him. I don't think he's going to be able to lean back on the Bears or a mess.
I think the Bears' history might win out here over and the talent of Caleb Williams to say, well, his talent was wasted, spoiled, something like that, as opposed to, Caleb couldn't hack it.
Nobody said that Cade McNown's talent was spoiled, or I'm trying to think of who are some Bears.
Jay Cutler.
Well, Jay Cutler actually had some success, but I don't think generally Jay Cutler was right. He was a Broncos draft pick too. Who were the high Bears draft pick? Nobody said Trubisky was ruined by the Bears, because then we got to see him in other cities too. And he
Trubisky actually made the playoffs, which is funny.
Yeah, I mean, he could end up just being a bust like Trubisky. I understand what you're saying, but I think that what else can the Bears do? I mean, literally, they've made every possible move to help this guy, right? There's not a single thing they've done that can be any different. They invested in the O-line. They brought in the receivers. They drafted a tight end again. I mean,
well, I thought last year, did they really need Rome Odunze, or should they have gone offensive line last year?
Right, but they fixed a lot of that this year.
Right, so we'll see.
Yeah, he has every chance to succeed. Now, I would worry, the bar shouldn't be too high. Let him grow into this a little bit. But if he's 8-9 this year and shows improvement, then I'm stoked if I'm a Bears fan.
Andrew Bogish has headlines for us. What's up, Bogues?
Guys, it did not go well for the Pacers last night at the Garden. The Knicks rolling to a 111-94 victory, extending the series to Game 6 tomorrow night in Indy. Tyrese Halliburton was a no-show, taking just 7 shots, scoring only 8 points, and Pascal Siakam managed just 15 points, then had to deal with Greg Doyle of the Indy Star postgame. Now, this exchange began after Siakam said the Pacers didn't play hard enough last night. That led Doyle to ask to explain how that could happen in such a big game. Now, you're not going to be able to hear Doyle in this clip. The silences are him sticking to and continuing to ask Siakam, who grows frustrated, the same questions.
What are you talking about? They played harder than us. It's okay. We played hard, but they played harder. What's your point? I don't get it.
My point is you're saying you guys got outfought.
That happens in the game, though. That's basketball. You're good? You're good, bro? You're looking for something, I know, but damn. No, but I'm telling you, though. I told you. What else do you want me to tell you?
So,
even the back and forth of the media is kind of nice.
Yeah,
Indy, just nice people.
I don't think it was an unfair question.
Yeah, by the way, I read this headline that Greg Doyle, who's a famous media controversy guy,
yes.
There was a lot of loose balls where the Pacers didn't look engaged last night. I think that's a perfectly fair question.
I definitely think it's fair to go, hey, how could you guys not? How can you get outplayed in a game like this?
Out-efforted.
Right. I think maybe where like Greg doesn't give up, I guess, to his credit usually, but he keeps being like, just tell me why. Like, tell me why. And Siakam just keeps saying the same thing. So it ends up looking bad on the reporter, and I don't know when you're supposed to stop and just move on and like it almost like just admit defeat to a certain extent. But the initial question, I think, is a fair one.
Yeah, the initial question is fine. I would say, though, for Greg, and this is, it's tough to do this sometimes in the spot, but every reporter kind of knows this. If the person doesn't want to answer the question you're asking, you have to ask the question in a different way. So were you tired? Are people hurt? Was it, you can't just ask the same thing. We didn't work hard. Well, why not? Well, because they were more intense than us. Well, why? You can do that, but if you really want to get a genuine answer, I think you have to ask the question in a different way. Don't you? I mean,
yeah, no, you just offered 2 answers, not questions. You're saying, were you tired? I don't know.
I'm saying posit something, like bring a different angle to it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Siakam wasn't clearly not going to answer that question. That happens too, right,
that
Maggie? Where
too.
there's just guys who are not going to answer the question.
I kind of feel like he did, though. He's saying that happens in basketball. Sometimes you get outworked. It just happens. That's his answer.
That's kind of if you actually think about it,
can you point to one thing?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Or just you got to rephrase, I guess. And Greg's been doing this a long time, so he knows.
Pretty damning statement, by the way. I was actually thinking about that. I'm like,
yeah, it definitely could be interpreted
sometimes the other
way.
team has more effort. Like, honestly, I'm not sure you want to say that.
This is what I said about the Knicks after Game 4. I'm
that's what I was going to say.
It was like the Knicks were like, we weren't intense enough. We didn't, and I was like, man, that's damn.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson said that after the game, and
they all did.
Yeah, they ripped the guts out of me, man. That's why I was so down in the dumps.
But at the same time, like now I'm thinking about it, and I'm not trying to insert myself as like an NBA athlete, but like when you play any kind of competitive sport, I mean, even if you're high school youth, I mean, you do know when your team got outworked. So if you think it's the truth, then what? Like, I mean, it was the truth last night. The Knicks definitely wanted it more. They played harder. Like I guess to me, like Greg was trying to search for some like outrage from the facts of what happened. And I don't like if you're Pascal, if you're an NBA player, I think you compartmentalize it as this is an aspect of basketball that happens, and we can't let that happen again. It's just like a team made more shots than us. Like I know it sounds very much, again, if you're a fan, if you're someone sitting at home, like how could you not play hard? But like it's just a part of the sport. So for him, he's like, yeah, like they got more loose balls. Like they track it. It's literally now analytics now, even hustle stats. So I think for him, maybe that was the disconnect where he's like, I'm telling you what happened, and then you're still not accepting it. I don't know what you want from me.
Well, I mean, Siakam, by the way, when he said, who is that guy? That's like an ominous feeling for a reporter here. Oh.
I'm kind of surprised, too, because I would imagine that Greg's got to be at so many different games.
He said that as a dismissive way. He knows who Greg Doyle is.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's like
horse maneuver.
One of the guys. Like Bob Kravitz was a long-time Indianapolis Star columnist, right? And Bob and Greg are kind of the two people.
Yeah, but...
I think Greg's going to a lot of press conferences.
Greg's more of a columnist.
Right, exactly.
He's much more of a columnist. And the other thing, too, is like I pull that move when you're talking to a woman who has a boyfriend, be like, I keep forgetting the boyfriend's name. What's that guy's name? But I honestly don't think he knew. I don't think Greg Doyle covers a beat, so it's a little different.
That's funny. Ben Stiller did this to Pat McAfee when he was like, when McAfee trolled them.
Yeah, it's an old move.
And he's like, oh, I was not familiar with him. He's some kind of place kicker or something.
The Knicks in a far better mood last night after keeping their season alive. Jalen Brunson set the tone with 32. Karl Anthony Towns threw in 24 points. And 13 boards. Now,
I could touch God right now. That's the only chance I'm ever going to get to see him.
Some have called Connor McDavid the Jalen Brunson of the NHL. And
I've heard that.
This is why.
One-timer ripped and blocked by Ekholm. That'll lead to a breakaway for Connor McDavid. He's in and he scores! Connor McDavid drags it back to his forehand. And Edmonton has regained a 2-goal lead in Game 5.
Jack Michaels, Oilers Radio. That was a huge goal for Edmonton. They led 3-0 after 8 minutes, but the Stars were within a goal when McDavid scored there in the second. They went on to win the game 6-3 to take the West in 5 and set up a Stanley Cup final rematch. They'll host the Panthers on Wednesday night. My apologies for being 24 hours late with this. Let's go back to Wednesday night. We're in Baltimore. Orioles and Cardinals. And St. Louis's Brendan Donovan clubbing a go-ahead 2-run homer, and this is important, off O's starter Cade Povich.
3-2. Swing, fly ball, hit well toward right, at the track, at the wall. That baby's gone. Brendan Donovan, you are the father of Mr. Povich. Cardinals take the lead. It's 5-4.
Chip Carrion. Cardinals TV.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Do you not get that one, Manny?
No, that was a Maury reference?
Yeah.
I would hope so.
But I don't think Cade is actually. Is he related to Maury?
Oh, that I don't know. But the last name's the last name.
Is he related to Shirley?
Well, if he's related to Shirley, he's related to Maury.
Wait, Maury has a last name?
Oh, yeah, he's Maury Shirley's son. I forgot that. That's kind of a
Which
deep
one's
cut.
Canadian?
No, I think Maury Povich is from Maine. No, Shirley Povich is from Maine. I think Maury Povich is from
I think that's from
BC.
I think
Yeah,
he's from Montreal, Maine, yes.
By the way, on the Canadian thing, now that I've been listening.
We're bringing back hour one stuff.
Just only
Hold on one second.
I will say.
We got to bring the audience up to speed because it happened 3 hours ago that EJ and Perloff got into an unnecessary debate about where Triple H hails from.
Totally necessary.
And
very necessary.
Perloff asked if he was French Canadian because his name is Paul Levesque.
I'm going to tweet my displeasure.
I said I thought he was from Montreal.
Yes, and EJ said, no, that's not true. He's from New Hampshire.
No, he said Connecticut.
I'm sorry, Connecticut. Turns out he's from New Hampshire, but his grandparents are from Montreal.
Yeah, and New Hampshire is basically Montreal for all
Why
intents
this
and
became a show debate, I still don't know. I don't know why, but EJ, you're bringing it back around for what reason?
One, where he's from in North New Hampshire is nowhere close to Montreal. But that's not the point I want to bring up. Listening to it again, just doing the job of the show back here, getting social media ready, I feel like I got a lot of heat for something that wasn't my fault because Manny was the one that was laughing and very condescending. I only just answered your question.
Okay.
I feel like now people are looking behind the glass for you guys over there and thinking that we're just one person. Manny and I are still very different. I know we're both Knicks fans.
But during the
I
Knicks,
only see blue and
to
orange.
be fair, though, during the Knicks playoffs, you're the same for all intents and purposes.
I know, but I'm listening to this back and I'm like, wow, Manny's laughing really hard. Now I know why Perloff was upset, but I was not condescending. I literally just said, no, he's from Montreal. And I literally said, I know his name's Paul Levesque, but he's from Connecticut, which is from New Hampshire. Which is, by the way,
that was Manny.
The town he's in New Hampshire is literally like a border town of Connecticut. He's built from Connecticut as a wrestler.
I like stirring the pot.
But Manny I got all this heat and it was all Manny. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, so we're throwing Manny under the bus.
He was the one being the jerk. I was trying to educate the people about wrestling.
It'd be weird if the guy named Paul Levesque was not some French descent.
Was why I literally said, I know his name is Paul Levesque, but he's from, again, I said Connecticut, and I will contend it's a border town of Connecticut. He's from New Hampshire.
The funniest part about this whole thing is that EJ said, Manny and I are not one person, and Perloff goes, really?
I mean, maybe after
Let's keep the main thing.
After the series is over, yes, you can separate. But right now, both of your entire moods are based on how the Knicks games go.
Which one of you speaks Spanish sometimes?
That's EJ.
Okay.
I learned a lot when I came back from Cancun.
That's where we got to leave this.
Get the out of here, Detroit.
Riveting conversation.
That was English, sir.
Coming up, we see you guys on the phones. You want to talk about the Mount Olympus
Vamos Knicks.
Cleveland, the 4 sports gods from Cleveland, Ohio. And we've also got, before we go for the weekend, one thing must be addressed. Has nothing to do with wrestling and has nothing to do with the Knicks. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right, we'll get to something that has nothing to do with sports, but definitely about competition in just a moment. But Rick is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Rick, you have a question for Perloff about going to an Eagles game? That's what it says here on the screener. What's up?
Yes. Good morning. I'm a big Bears fan, and real quick, I think Caleb handled that tremendously.
Yeah.
He owned up. He didn't try to push it off and say he didn't do that. Well, anyway, my
took
wife
all accountability for all the possible reservations he had about going to the Bears before he got drafted.
Yeah, and do they hand out wins for good May press conferences? I can't remember how the NFL works on that front.
Well, we'll find out here. Well, no, anyway. My wife's from Philly. We're flying up to see the Bears-Philly game, and I'm wondering, am I going to make it out alive with my Walter Payton jersey on?
You know, generally it's a terrible idea to wear an opposing jersey into the link. Walter Payton gets such universal respect, people might let you go. Now, this is just me saying this. But Walter Payton, like, who doesn't love Walter Payton, right?
Right. My wife says, "Oh no, you'll be fine." I'm like, okay.
Don't wear Urlacher.
No.
Yeah, I don't even know. Don't wear Eddie Bear's quarterback. McMahon was an Eagle, so you could wear that.
Okay. Yeah, I went to a Phillies Cubs series, had no problem wearing my Cubs gear. But I guess football's different.
Different crowd. Different crowd. They've got
not that different.
Yeah, but you got a lot of home games. You got to spread out that energy.
Yeah.
The Eagles, you only get eight home games, and it's just raring to go.
Yeah. Rick, I recently watched the Fog Bowl documentary on NFL Network. Of course, the young people here don't remember this. The Mike Ditka, the coach, hated Buddy Ryan so much during that's the one name that still resonates in Philly, the Ditka Buddy. Do you remember that at all or no?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm 56, so I remember all of that. Yep.
Yeah, so don't wear a fake mustache and a vest with bears on it, because then people think you're Ditka.
Wait a minute, is this the Black Friday game?
Yes.
Wow. The Bears.
Rick, enjoy that. Maybe you get lucky and the crowd's got it's still got the tryptophan in them, like a little turkey hangover.
Yeah, Saturday was when the hangover will come. They will be loaded up for this game.
Friday's still all systems go.
There's no work on that Friday. That is going to be a wild scene. There's no work the next day.
Dom is in San Francisco, wants to do his Cleveland, Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods. Dom, we only got 20 seconds. List them off for us. Who do you have?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I've got Leroy Kelly. I've got Jim Brown. I've got Bob Feller and Jesse Owens.
And I want my damn respect, too.
Good one.
Dom, thank you for that. Appreciate it. So the Jesse Owens one is a little bit hard, right? Because is he Ohio State?
Well, he grew up in Cleveland.
Good, but we're not doing people from that city.
Yeah.
We're doing people who played in that city. But when you're in individual sports, it's a little bit harder, and you want to pay homage to people. I get it.
I think this was, of all the cities, because Cleveland hasn't won a lot of championships, this was somewhat of a thin Mount Olympus compared to some of the names we're going to leave off in other cities. I think you could have made a good argument for Jesse Owens, because there's nothing wrong with Jesse Owens. He's on the actual Mount Olympus of national sports gods.
Period. Full stop. Fair. Speaking of competition, before we go, do want to acknowledge there is a champion that was crowned yesterday. Faison Zaki is the 2025 champion, the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Here's the word he won on.
Your word is éclaircissement.
Éclaircissement. E-C-L-A-I-R-C-I-S-S-E-M-E-N-T. Éclaircissement.
That is correct.
There you go. He won with éclaircissement, which...
That's not English, bro. That's French. Come on.
Well, it's like a French
I bet
origin.
Triple H could probably pronounce that word.
It means clearing up of something obscure, like an enlightenment.
Like that word?
If you will. And yeah, something obscure like that. So this is someone who came in second place last year who lost in a lightning round. And now this year comes back and wins. And congratulations to this young man. I cannot think of something that is less relevant now in 2025 than winning a spelling bee.
Éclaircissement.
Pearl, we don't need it anymore. You don't need to know how to spell anything. Spell check is on every single device that you possibly have.
People still get wrong.
It's for the love of the game, Maggie. This is like...
Yeah, was it relevant when was the spelling bee peak?
This was
2003 or something? Remember, it was a big deal?
Yeah.
I think spelling, you could say cursive. There's a couple things that we just don't really need anymore. Cursive, sure, you need to do your signature.
Cursive is eliminated.
But right. And I think spelling bees are too, because it's just there's spell check right. You'd have to turn off the spell check. It's baked in.
I'm not bringing you to the next spelling bee, Maggie, with that take.
You might get invited to one year.
It's in D.C. You remember D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kid going to make the Mount Olympus of any city? Where's he from?
He's from Allen, Texas, right up there with Kyler Murray.
Wow, that's a tough one.
Yeah, there's a lot of champions
of
from there.
Out of Allen.
That's the one with the $100 million high school football stadium, and he's a spelling bee champ?
Mm-hmm.
Wrong career, buddy.
Nerd.
Says Perloff. Pot kettle. EJ Stewart, thank you. Manny Rodriguez, thank you. Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, thank you to Nathan Zegura, who joined us from Cleveland. Guido's Coffee Drinkers.
Cleveland! This is for you!